Chapter 35:15. Tangwa had already sensed it. She quickly retreated. Just as she retreated, the snow cliff next to Tang Xiang suddenly collapsed. The snow-white python soared into the air and swept its tail towards Tang Xiang's position. Even though Tang Sun reacted quickly and pulled Tang Xiang back, the two of them were still heavily hit to the ground and were both injured. Without waiting for the two of them to react, the white python continued to attack their position. Tang Sun had to protect Tang Xiang and deal with the python at the same time. He was indeed in a difficult situation. The rest of the people saw the situation and quickly went to help. However, one of them actually ran to pick the extreme cold Ganoderma. When he wanted to run outside, he was discovered by the python. The python's long tail hit that person, causing him to spit out blood and lose his ability to move. A nascent soul stage python. Run! Tang Sun's expression changed. He shouted and ran with Tang Xiang. The rest of the people were also frightened and ran behind the two of them. As for Tangwa, she had already found a place to hide and watched the python chase after the few people. The system covered the area within 100 miles and reported to Tangwa about the situation of the python chasing after Tang Xiang and the others. As for the severely injured person, when he saw Tangwa walk out, he reached out to her. Save me. The python's attack was merciless. This person was only in the early stage of the golden core stage. After being mercilessly attacked by a nascent soul stage cultivator, he was completely immobilized. At this moment, the surrounding snow cliff was actually slowly collapsing. If they didn't leave now, they would be buried here. Take me out. I'll give you the extreme cold Ganoderma. As he spoke, the person quickly took out the extreme cold Ganoderma from his space bag and was about to hand it to Tangwa. If it's not enough, I'll give you the rest. Tangwa stared at him for a while. Suddenly, her lips curled into a smile. This smile was a little evil and a little cold. I remember that you used to snatch my resources and even mocked me. You went around saying that I was evil and evil. You were right. I'm indeed very evil. Tangwa didn't even look at the extreme cold Ganoderma in his hand. She didn't care about it at all. She liked this place. This snow mountain really suited her taste. She liked the way things were done. So, you lost. An old voice rang out. Ha ha ha. I knew this little girl wouldn't want the extreme cold Lingji. Kid, hand over your plum blossom brew. She just has a grudge against that person, so she's a bit arrogant. Old man Shui. She didn't hold back when she was picking those spiritual herbs. Humans are all greedy and ugly. There is no exception. The one below is indeed ugly. Then, the old man will bury him and let him rest in peace. Although the voice was clearly loving and kind, the words that came out of his mouth sent chills from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. As soon as Tangwa walked out of the place, a small snow mountain behind her collapsed completely, burying everything inside. She turned around to take a look. Just now, she felt like someone was spying on her. She found out. It was still the same young voice from before. No, she's only at the foundation establishment stage. How could she have found out? Old man Shui, why don't we just bury her as well? People will turn bad. You've already lost. You have to do two things. First, hand over all your plum blossom brew. Second, unless she really becomes greedy and ugly, you're not allowed to kill her. For a moment the air was very quiet. After a long time, the young voice sounded again. Then let her live for a few more days. When she becomes ugly, I'll personally kill her. Not long after, the white python returned to its original place. Second Mang, why are you covered in injuries? You're dealing with a few brats who haven't even reached the nascent soul stage, and you're still in such a sorry state? Old man Shui asked curiously. The python opened its mouth, looking very fierce, as if it was very angry. It spoke in human language. Old man Shui, I don't know what happened either. I was repelled by a force, and then they disappeared. I'm even covered in injuries. It's very strange. Infuriating. Embarrassing. I'm going to go into seclusion. If there's nothing, don't call me. AI, aren't you going to drink the plum blossom brew? I'm not drinking. As soon as Tangwa walked out of the snow mountain, she felt a few burning gazes fall on her. Faintly there was a killing intent. In her heart, she knew that the news of her harvest in the snow mountain had been spread. Chapter 35:16. Stop right there. Tangwa had only taken 2 steps when a group of people stopped her. The one leading them was a cold-looking young man. His gaze had been sizing up Tangwa. He seemed to have sensed that she was only at the perfected foundation establishment realm, and had yet to reach the golden core realm, so he didn't care about her anymore. If you want to pass by, leave the space bag behind. I advise you to be sensible. You're only at the perfected foundation establishment realm. It's already a great fortune for you to be able to walk out of here alive. Don't take these things that will cost you your life. The reason why they didn't attack Tangwa directly was because there were other people around who were eyeing her covetously. Once they attacked, if this little cultivator had some kind of trump card, it would also cause them a certain amount of damage. At that time, if other people attacked them again, they would suffer a great loss. They didn't want to work for others. Do you see those people around you? The cold-looking young man saw that Tangwa didn't speak, and thought that she was hesitating. He wasn't a fool. Someone who could come out of the snow mountain with a great harvest, even if they were only at the perfected foundation establishment realm, definitely had some ability. If it weren't for those people around them, he wouldn't have to worry so much even if the few of them worked together. As long as you hand over the space bag to us, we'll escort you out. With us around, they won't dare to do anything to you. His words were so nice, but in reality, once they got the things, they would definitely turn around and leave. They wouldn't care about her at all. Only a fool would believe that. However, Tangwa found the identity of the young man in front of her from her memories. This person was at the mid-stage Golden Core realm, and led a group of early-stage Golden Core realm cultivators. They were in the business of robbing people. For example, the snow mountain in front of her. They wouldn't go in to look for things themselves. They would just guard outside, and send people to gather information. Then they would wait here for people who had a good harvest. Originally, this young man would definitely not provoke a disciple from the Taichu sect like her. However, she was only from the Taichu sect. She wasn't valued, and was even reviled and hated by everyone. If she died outside, no one would investigate. Whether it was the system or the surrounding people, they all felt that Tangwa wouldn't hand over the things even if she risked her life. Indeed, Tangwa did not intend to hand over the item. When it came to escaping, she was more experienced. She was thinking about how to escape. These people were wary of the people around them, and did not dare to make a move directly, which gave her time to think. However, right at this moment, Tang Xiang and Tang Sun appeared. The people beside them looked rather wretched. Tang Sun also had some bloodstains on his body. Tang Xiang, on the other hand, looked completely unharmed, as if she hadn't suffered much damage. With Tang Sun's protection and Yufeng's treasures, it was normal for him to be unharmed. For the past few days, Tang Sun and Tang Xiang had been following behind Tangwa, but they hadn't gained anything. As long as there was no barrier around those treasures, the first one to discover them would be Tangwa. The only extreme cold Ganoderma that had an enchantment was actually guarded by a giant python guardian beast, which almost cost them their lives. When Tang Xiang saw Tangwa, she rushed to her side happily. "Sister, are you okay?" Without waiting for Tangwa to answer, Tang Xiang continued to ask, "Where's Senior Marshal Brother Liu?" After she finished asking, she was still looking around. Tangwa thought to herself, "Here he comes. Senior Marshal Brother Liu?" Tangwa was silent for a moment, then said, "Isn't Senior Marshal Brother Liu with you?" Chapter 35:17. Sister, I remember that Senior Brother Liu was the one who plucked the extreme cold Lingji. We were attacked by the giant python, and had no choice but to deal with it. Where did you hide at that time? Did you see Senior Brother Liu? After the giant python chased us away, you didn't come out with him? Tangwa glanced at Tang Xiang and said coldly, "When the giant python appeared, I sensed that its cultivation was very high. It was definitely above the nascent soul stage. I was no match for it. And then I was terrified." "System," Tangwa said seriously with a cold expression, "you were all chased by the giant python, so I had to run too." She didn't need to say anything else. What she meant was that she had already run out. But she didn't know where senior brother Lu had gone. You really didn't see junior brother Lu? Tang Sun and the others looked at Tang Gua suspiciously. I remember that junior brother Lu was almost killed by the giant python's attack. Even though his cultivation was at the golden core stage, the giant python was unfathomable. It had already made him lose the ability to fight. After the giant python chased us away, you also left. In other words, he was suspecting Tang Gua. That disciple surnamed Lu didn't appear here. It was very likely that Tang Gua had snatched his extreme cold Lingji and killed him. How did it feel to be questioned by his own brother about whether he was the murderer? Yet he had never been believed. It was no wonder that her heart was filled with sorrow and helplessness. They were her blood relatives, but every time something happened, no one gave her a chance to explain herself. Almost instantly, they put a bad label on her head and pressed it down hard. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't take it off. If I didn't leave, would I have waited for the giant python to come back and eat me? Tang Gua's words made the surrounding people laugh. Indeed, Tang Sun's question was a little retarded. You really don't know where junior brother Lu went? Tang Sun frowned. He remembered that junior brother Lu's injuries were very serious. It would have been easy for a perfected foundation establishment cultivator to kill him. You want to see the image stone? Tang Gua asked the system in her mind. Is the editing done? It's done. Great host. I guarantee that the editing will be clear when they run away. Also, it will make people think that you ran away before them. Tang Xiang and Tang Sun were stunned when they heard Tang Gua say that there was an image stone. Not waiting for them to ask anything, Tang Gua took out the image stone. Suddenly, the image of the image stone fell on the ground, allowing everyone to see it clearly. Of course, this was recorded from Tang Gua's point of view. It recorded Tang Xiang and Tang Sun rushing to the extreme cold Ganoderma. Just when they were about to pick it, the giant python appeared. The giant python began to attack them, and the others quickly went to help. One of the silhouettes was heading towards the extreme cold Ganoderma. His face was filled with excitement as he picked the extreme cold Ganoderma and put it away. This video was not edited. At this moment, the image stone was already far away. Tang Gua explained at the right time. I'm just a foundation establishment cultivator. I'm very afraid of the giant python with a high cultivation level, so I immediately chose to retreat. The surrounding people expressed their understanding. If you don't run away when you encounter such a giant python, do you want to risk your life? There was nothing wrong with that. Then, they saw the giant python injuring the disciples surnamed Lu and Tang Sun fleeing with Tang Xiang and the others. Chapter 35:18. However, the image stone didn't stop recording. It recorded Tang Gua walking out of the snowy mountain. It was obvious that she had left the snowy mountain from the beginning. She really didn't know about the situation with disciple Lu. Seeing this, Tang Sun also knew that he had misunderstood Tang Gua. Even so, he had no intention of apologizing. Tang Gua's immediate escape showed that she was timid. They were all in danger, and junior brother Lu was seriously injured, but she didn't know how to help. They had clearly lured the giant python away, but she was still unwilling to help. It was obvious that she was a cold and heartless person. Tang Gua knew what Tang Sun was thinking when she saw his expression. We lured the giant python away. Why didn't you bring junior brother Lu with you? Tang Sun asked. Tang Gua was very direct and didn't beat around the bush. Are you sure the giant python was lured away by you and not chased after you until you fled? There are so many of you. Why didn't you bring disciple Lu with you? Tang Gua sneered. I'm not related to him. Why should I bring him with me? You're in cahoots. When you were in danger, you only cared about running for your own lives. Tang Sun felt his face burning. He also felt the gazes of the people around him. He really didn't think so much before. He only thought that since the giant python didn't attack her, she should bring junior brother Lu with her. Are you done with your interrogation? Tang Sun didn't say anything. Tang Xiang spoke again. Sister, let's go together. These people are eyeing you covetously. If you go alone, I'm afraid it'll be dangerous. As long as they left with Tang Sun and Tang Xiang, those people wouldn't dare to touch them. After all, Tang Xiang was Yu Heng's disciple. Tang Sun's status wasn't low either. They didn't want to make enemies. The cold young man who stopped Tangua just now was also disappointed. However, he didn't leave. He had heard that Tangua didn't get along with Tang Sun and Tang Xiang. She was also a bit arrogant. She might not go with them. Tangua indeed wouldn't go with Tang Sun and Tang Xiang. If she went with them, she was afraid that her leg wouldn't be able to reconnect. Come with us. Tang Sun spoke again. I'm afraid those people want to snatch your ice snow lotus. You can't take it with you. So why don't you give it to me for safekeeping? When we get back, I'll give the ice snow lotus to mother. When the time comes, I'll give you one of the pills I refine. Tangua looked at Tang Sun, as if she was looking at an idiot. As expected, it was better not to be related by blood. Was this what a biological brother would say to his biological sister? Big sister, Big Brother's idea is really good. Big Brother did this because he was afraid that you would feel uncomfortable and unwilling to accept this favor. All these years, we have repeatedly offered you help, but you have always rejected us. You said you'd escort me out? Tangua turned to the young man from before. If you escort me out, I'll give you the ice snow lotus. How about it? The cold young man quickly smiled. Okay, we'll accept this mission. As long as you give us the ice snow lotus, we'll escort you out. Okay, I'll go with you. Sister, they're all up to no good. Why do you have to go with them just because you're angry? What's the difference between this and entering a tiger's den? However, Tangua didn't seem to hear him. She followed the cold young man. When I'm safe, I'll give you the ice snow lotus. Chapter 35:19. Tangua emphasized to the gloomy young man, as if she really believed that they would escort her out safely. The gloomy young man smiled and said, Sure. Which sect are you from, fairy? In reality, he knew which sect Tangua was from. He asked so loudly just to let the people around them know that Tangua still had some status. Not everyone here knew Tangua and knew her background. The Taichu sect. Tangua was very cooperative. If she didn't cooperate, how would they kill these people later? Presumably, these people were also thinking of finding a place where no one was around to secretly kill her and steal her treasures. These people were all sly old foxes. They might be able to tell that Tang Xiang wasn't sincere to her. Tang Xiang's acting skills were indeed good, and she was also good at pretending. It wasn't impossible that no one would notice that she wasn't what she appeared to be. However, when it didn't affect their own interests, who would be willing to expose the truth? People like Father Tang, Mother Tang, Tang Sun, and Yu Heng might be a mystery. But the bystanders around them, were they really that clueless? This gloomy young man's eyes flashed with a cold light from time to time. He was still willing to accept this job, and knew about her relationship with Tang Xiang. But he still wanted to make a move on her. This meant that he had already seen through her. Tang Xiang's concern and worry for her were only on the surface. How many people would care about a sister who didn't even care about her own brother? Tang Xiang tried to stop Tangua twice but couldn't. In the end, Tang Sun stopped her. If she wants to go, then let her go. When the time comes, she'll be responsible for her own life and death. Everything is her choice. She would rather believe some unknown outsider than us. Even if she dies outside, she only has herself to blame. Don't worry about her. Tang Sun left with Tang Xiang, and really didn't ask about Tangua's whereabouts anymore. Tangua also left with the gloomy young men. When the others saw this, they had already dispersed. They didn't want to be rebuffed. They didn't want to provoke the Taichu sect. After rushing for half a day, Tangua pretended not to know that she was being led by the nose by those people. When she heard them say that there was a treasure, she would follow them. They came to a very remote place, with almost no human habitation. The grass in this place was all withered and yellow, and the surrounding spirit chi was also very thin. How could a heavenly spirit treasure be born here? At this time, Tangua also realized that something was wrong. When the cold-looking young man saw that Tangua quickly dodged and looked at them warily, he laughed. It's too late for you to react now. Hand over your interspatial bag, and we can still spare your life. It was impossible to spare Tangua's life. The other party seemed to have an image stone in their hands. When the time came, their actions would be recorded. Even if they were not valued, the absolute beginning sect would not tolerate someone slapping their face like this. They would definitely send people to deal with them. You might as well kill her once and for all. If I give you my interspatial bag, will you really let me go? Naturally, if we don't let you go, you won't be able to escape, right? We only want money, not lives. Tangwa took the interspatial bag from her waist. While she was hesitating, the cold-looking young man became a little impatient and hurriedly urged her to hand it over. In the end, Tangwa threw the interspatial bag over. The young man also asked her to hand over the Dharma treasure. You have to think carefully. It's better to hand it over so that you don't lose your life. Tangwa didn't move. When the young man checked the interspatial bag, she revealed a strange smile. The young man seemed to have sensed something, but it was too late. He heard an explosion. Peak. Chapter 35:20. The things that Tangwa threw out to explode were none other than monster cores. The monster cores were not hers. They were killed by the original owner of the body, and she was going to exchange them for spirit stones. After she came, she did not have time to deal with these monster cores. She went to see her parents first, then returned to the sect to deal with some things, before going to the snow mountain. Therefore, there were still many monster cores left in the space bag. The reason why she could hunt so many monster cores was that this cultivation world was not peaceful. Monster beasts were rampant, and there were often demonic beasts who lost their minds and attacked cultivators in their territory, killing them at will. Not to mention cultivators, demonic beasts that went crazy would even kill their own kind. It should be said that they would kill any living thing they saw. There was no way to control them at all. When cultivators accepted the mission of hunting demonic beasts, the monster cores of the demonic beasts they hunted would belong to them. In addition, they would also receive a certain reward. However, hunting demonic beasts was very dangerous, and there was basically a slim chance of survival. The disciples of large sects were usually protected by elders when they went on adventures. Without anyone to protect them, they could only pray for their own good fortune. When she saw this cold young man, she had already thought of how to deal with him. Even if he was a middle-stage golden core cultivator, he would not be able to withstand the explosion of so many monster cores. Coincidentally, the formations and restrictions she knew were very advanced. When the monster cores were detonated, their power could be maximized. When the dust in front of her dispersed, the cold young man on the ground was on the verge of death from the explosion. She did not hesitate at all, and without giving him any chance to speak, she went over and stabbed him a few more times. After dealing with all of them, she felt slightly more relaxed. It was not easy to blow up these people. The timing had to be precise. In addition, with her current cultivation level, using formations and restrictions was indeed a bit difficult. Now she was a bit exhausted. However, she could pretend that her expression did not change, and no one could see anything. At this moment, her face was extremely pale. After recuperating for half a day, she planned to go to the market and sell some of the spiritual herbs in her hands. Also, she had to find a pill refiner to help her refine medicine. She could refine it herself, but without a golden core, she could never refine advanced pills without an alchemy fire. Some low-level pills could be refined with external fire, but for a top-grade spiritual herb like the ice snow lotus, it could not be refined with external fire. It was basically a waste. She went from house to house. Chapter 35:21. She started walking from the streets of the medicine market. The first thing she saw was the crowd, followed by the stalls on both sides, and then the dazzling array of spiritual herbs. System. Host, it's said that this Lung Xing has played all kinds of roles. I suspect that he's a role-playing enthusiast. There's no problem with his hobby, but it's a little difficult to find. Then we'll take our time to find him. Let's do a process of elimination. First, we'll eliminate those impossible people. The medicine market is only so big, so we'll definitely be able to find him. Record the people who came in later and exclude them. Lung Xing has always been in the medicine market and won't go out. The person who came in is not him, and the person who left is not him. Okay, then let's move. Although many people were excluded, if the remaining people asked Tangwa who Lung Xing was, she wouldn't be able to tell. She wasn't anxious at all. An expert with such ability, and a slightly eccentric temper, either acted differently or like an ordinary person. She found that many people were staring at those who stood out from the crowd and had very distinct personalities. There were also some people who were observing those who looked ordinary. For example, there was one next to her. Many people were staring at him, afraid that he would run away. Although this person doesn't look good, I suspect that he's Master Lung. That makes sense. Master Lung has played countless characters. We can't judge a book by its cover. Maybe this is Master Lung. Surrounded by several people, the thin man trembled and felt very uncomfortable. He cried out, "I'm really not Master Lung. I'm just here to sell medicine. Look in my basket. These are all the spiritual herbs I just picked. By the way, do you need anything?" This person used the spiritual herbs to divert our attention. Maybe he's afraid that we'll find evidence that he's Master Lung. Tangwa glanced at the thin man. This person was indeed a little ugly, which was rare in the cultivation world. His skin was sallow, and there were large and small spots on his face. His cultivation was at the foundation establishment stage. "This person isn't Master Lung," Tangwa said to the system. "Is there a record of him coming in?" "Yes, he's really not Master Lung. He's really here to sell medicine." Tangwa continued to wander around. She came to a stall. The reason she came here was not because of anything else, but because the scene here attracted her. There were too many people here earlier, so she didn't come over to take a look. Now that those people seemed to have eliminated this person as a suspect, she finally had the chance to observe carefully. "Alchemy?" Tangwa lowered her head and saw the words "Pill Refining" written in front of the stall. The other party was sitting there casually, and there was a very old, and even somewhat broken pill furnace in the stall. He looked especially like a swindler. Hearing Tangwa's muttering, the man wearing a gray robe opened his eyes and looked at her. He didn't look very outstanding, but he wasn't ugly either. He faintly asked Alchemy, "What kind of pills can you refine here?" There were two things that caused Tangwa to stop. Firstly, she suspected that this person was Lung Xing. Secondly, it was that familiar aura that came from the soul. This made her a little confused. This familiar aura that came from the soul. She had felt it on Zhou Ru. Why was it on this person now? Although it was faint and very thin, she was not wrong. Could it be that his soul had split into several pieces when he was traveling? But it didn't seem like it. "I'll refine any kind of pill. If I succeed, I'll take 30% of the pills as payment. If I fail, I won't compensate." The man in the gray robe sat up and picked up the broken pill furnace on the ground. A flame appeared on his fingertip. Even though it was burned by the pill fire, the pill furnace was still very old. He emphasized, "Hurry up, the fire is already lit. If you want to refine, take out the spiritual herbs. If you don't, you'll have to pay 10 spirit stones for the fire." System. Host, this is a swindler. Just now, I saw a lot of people being extorted 10 spirit stones here. No one dared to take out their precious spiritual herbs when they saw this person take out a broken pill furnace to refine pills. The main thing was that sentence, "If I don't succeed, I won't compensate," which made people retreat. Host, Tang Xiang and Tang Sun are here. They're coming in your direction. Chapter 35-22. Tangwa glanced back. She could feel that Tang Xiang wasn't coming for her. Instead, she was coming for the broken pill furnace. Her guess was right. Tang Xiang was most likely reborn. Otherwise, she would appear at the right time every time. Refine. Tangwa took out the ice snow lotus from her space bag. "This is it." Seeing the ice snow lotus in the jade box, the man in the robe narrowed his eyes and said, "I won't compensate you if you break it, no matter how expensive it is. Master, please refine as much as you want. You don't need to compensate." Tangwa was sure that this person was Lung Xing. But why did Lung Xing have that kind of aura? "Alright, sit and wait." "Master, I want to refine pills." Tang Xiang rushed to the front of the stall and took out a jade box. Inside was the extreme cold Ganoderma. As for whether or not it was the same one from before, only Tang Xiang and Tang Sun knew. "Grandmaster, concoct the pill." The man in the gray Taoist robe raised his eyes and glanced at her. He still said in an indifferent tone, "Only 1 furnace a day." "Master Lung, I finally found you. Please help me. Didn't you say that you would help me refine pills if I found you? This fellow Taoist found me first. I've already started the furnace. Please change it to tomorrow. Tang Xiang looked back at Tang Gua and seemed to have just reacted. She was shocked. Sister, why are you here? What's with the noise? Do you have bad eyesight? Of course she's here to ask me to refine pills. Lung Xing was impatient. He rebuked Tang Xiang. Not only that, but his next words were even more vicious. Not only are your eyesight bad, you're probably deaf. Your brain probably isn't working well either. I already said that I have a furnace today. She's standing here, other than asking me to refine pills. What else is she doing? Lung Xing didn't notice Tang Xiang's stiff expression and said, Hurry up and leave. Don't disturb me when I'm refining pills. You can stay here, but shut your mouth. You're like those chickens on the mountain clucking nonstop. It's so noisy. Tang Gua. Although Master Lung's temper isn't good, his words are good. System. Actually, some geniuses and talented people can be forgiven if their tempers are slightly bad. Master Lung, aren't you going too far by saying that? Xiang, only wanted to ask you to refine pills because she found you. Tang Sun wanted to speak up for Tang Xiang, but before he could finish, he was rendered speechless by Lung Xing's gloomy face. Lung Xing glanced at him indifferently. Do you not understand human language? Or is there a problem with your comprehension ability? I've already said that I'll only make one batch a day. I'm not qualified for today. How many times do I have to repeat myself? Isn't it annoying? Master Lung, I'm sorry to have disturbed you. I'll come again tomorrow. Tang Xiang pulled Tang Sun back. She knew that Lung Xing had a very strange temperament. If she liked him a lot. If she didn't like him, she could say anything. Moreover, she was especially vicious. Now her heart was filled with panic. She had encountered such things twice recently. First, it was that Su Zong from the sect, who didn't give her any face at all. And then there was this Lung Xing. The extreme cold Lingji in her hand could only be refined in Lung Xing's hands. Moreover, it had the best effect, and had the least impurities. She had the intention of befriending this alchemist called Lung Xing. Sister, I've been very worried about you these past few days. You. Chapter 35-23. Tang Xiang changed the topic and whispered to Tang Gua. Unexpectedly, before she could finish, Lung Xing interrupted her again. If you want to quarrel, go outside. Master Lung, you're deliberately targeting Xiang, right? I don't know when Xiang offended you, but Xiang is whispering to someone, and isn't making any noise. Tang Sun couldn't stand it anymore. He definitely had to protect his sister, regardless of whether it was Master Lung or Master Li. This time, Tang Xiang was indeed a little wronged. She also wondered if Lung Xing was deliberately targeting her. However, she didn't say anything, and only looked in Lung Xing's direction. She looked a little wronged, but it didn't make people feel that she was being pretentious. Come tell me, is she noisy? What Tang Xiang didn't expect was that Lung Xing held the burning pill furnace in one hand, and looked up at Tang Gua, asking her to answer this question. So noisy. Tang Gua was very cooperative. Now that she had a request for Master Lung, of course she had to cooperate and cater to his interests. It just so happened that she also liked to tear apart a white lotus. Lung Xing actually laughed, and even laughed out loud. However, the smile didn't reach his eyes, making people feel that this smile was full of ridicule. Did you hear that? Lung Xing said to Tang Xiang. She also said that you're noisy. Sister. This time, Tang Xiang looked at Tang Gua with a wronged expression, causing the surrounding people to look at each other. Tang Gua explained seriously, You are indeed noisy. Shut up. Don't disturb Master Lung from refining pills for me. Xiang is noisy. Why are you so unreasonable? Tang Sun couldn't stand it anymore, and hurriedly stood up for Tang Xiang. Clearly, he had forgotten that Tang Gua was also his biological sister. Tang Gua's lips curved slightly and said, If you don't like a voice, no matter how quiet it is, it's still noisy. You're interesting. This time, Lung Xing glanced at Tang Gua again, and the words that came out of his mouth were still as poisonous as before. Obviously, you've already seen that she's not what she looks like. This Dao hates this kind of pretentious person the most. Previously, She acted like she was concerned about you, like a wild chicken picking clothes to wear in the mountains. No matter how you learn, she doesn't seem like a human. System. That's too vicious. How is he still alive with such a vicious mouth? No one killed him. Tang Xiang was indeed infuriated. Even if she had a good temperament, she still couldn't take it when someone said that again and again. Grandmaster, you've gone too far. Isn't it? Lung Xing's expression was indifferent. His facial features were clearly not outstanding. When this person walked in the crowd, he was the kind of person who blended into the crowd. However, Tang Gua suddenly felt that this person was indeed an expert. He had a pair of particularly bright eyes. His words were very pleasant to the ears. She really wanted to be friends with such a person. If you don't think you're such a person, swear and say it. Tang Xiang was somewhat regretful, thinking that she should not have argued with Lung Xing. He had long known that the other party was a person with an eccentric temperament. Anyone who went against the other party would not have a good ending. Sorry for disturbing Master Lung today. I'll come again tomorrow. Tang Xiang tugged at the somewhat unwilling Tang Sun. She seemed to have forgotten to say goodbye to Tang Gua, and hurriedly left. Tang Gua stared at Tang Xiang's departing figure, and felt that her direction was not wrong. In her heart, Tang Xiang probably couldn't bear to see her do well, and was even afraid of her doing well. That was why, even though she had benefited so much and the original owner was so unlucky, she continued to cause trouble for the original owner. At the same time, she did not sever ties with the original owner, and even cared for the original owner. She was afraid that the original owner would one day make a comeback. Chapter 35-24. What's your relationship with that hypocrite? Lung Xing's pill refinement was very casual. It didn't look like he was refining pills, but more like he was cooking pig food. However, the fact that the pill furnace didn't explode meant that he had exquisite pill refinement skills. Pill refinement wasn't like other things. Sometimes, a slight mistake could cause the furnace to explode. In terms of blood, we're sisters, Tang Gua answered truthfully. She didn't think that this legendary pill refinement master, with a strange personality, was difficult to get along with. Lung Xing didn't raise his head. He narrowed his eyes and stared at the pill furnace. The small pill furnace was suspended in his palm. Under the pill furnace was a burning flame. This was the pill fire that belonged to cultivators. The stronger and purer the pill fire, the easier it was to refine pills. It was said that some alchemists would look for divine flames to fuse with themselves in order to improve their pill refinement skills. Of course, alchemists who could fuse with divine flames were all powerhouses. I see. Just when Tang Gua thought that Lung Xing was going to say something, he said, "Since we're sisters, she disturbed me just now. I wonder what kind of compensation Master Lung wants." Tang Gua asked. She didn't feel that she was being scammed at all. Lung Xing threw the ice snow lotus into the pill furnace. He was still as casual as ever. There were already many people watching from the side. Tang Xiang's shout attracted countless people. They all knew that this strange scammer, who cheated them of their spirit stones, was really Master Lung. Those who refused to let him refine their spirit herbs were regretting it. If they were more daring and willing to take a gamble, Master Lung would be helping them refine pills today. Even if they regretted it, no one dared to come over and make a fuss. Master Lung didn't show mercy to that delicate girl just now. Not many people could withstand Master Lung's poisonous tongue. "You're straightforward. I like this kind of person. You're very tactful." Lung Xing stared at Tang Gua, as if to see if she was sincere or not. Then he looked away. "You don't seem to be forcing yourself. You seem to be really willing to compensate me. I won't ask for much. Just 10 spirit stones." The spirit stones here were divided into low grade, middle grade, and high grade. Usually the number of spirit stones referred to low grade spirit stones. For disciples of large sects, 10 spirit stones were nothing. But for rogue cultivators, 10 spirit stones were more precious. For some disciples who lacked resources, 10 pieces was a small fortune. Tang Gua had exchanged a lot of spirit stones before, so she didn't care about a mere 10 spirit stones. He immediately took out 10 spirit stones from his interspatial bag and handed them to Lung Xing. Lung Xing didn't stand on ceremony either. He emptied a hand and accepted the spirit stones. Master Lung seems to be in a good mood today. Do you still remember the last time someone came looking for trouble? Master Lung asked for 100 high-grade spirit stones as compensation. Master Lung doesn't seem like Master Lung today. Actually, Lung Xing also felt that he was lacking a little. Soon after, he felt that this female cultivator was quite pleasing to the eye. So what if he wanted less of her? However much he wanted, wasn't it up to him? After thinking it through, Lung Xing no longer bothered about this. Where did you get the ice snow lotus? Tangwa did not hide anything. Sun traversing snow mountain. Lung Xing paused for a moment before saying, so it's there. That's right. A snow ice lotus of such quality can only be found in that place. Is Master Lung very familiar with the sun traversing snow mountain? I've been there. Chapter 35-25. Since Master Lung only makes one furnace a day, I'll come to you tomorrow. After the pills were refined, Tangwa paid Lung Xing 30% of the reward and put the rest of the pills into her space bag. She remembered that there were still many precious spiritual herbs in the space bag. It would be a waste to eat them directly. Only by adding some herbs and refining them into pills could they be used to their fullest potential. Anyway, she had no idea how to condense her golden core, so she might as well repair the damage to her foundation first. Although the snow lotus pill has a certain effect on repairing your foundation, the effect is only a little. It's basically not very useful. If you want to repair your foundation, the easiest way in this world is to find a kind of spiritual medicine. The mixed yuan flame flower can be taken directly to repair all the damage to your foundation. However, the mixed yuan flame flower is rare and requires a certain amount of luck. It can only be found by chance. Lung Xing had already put away his stall and was holding his old pill furnace in his hand. He continued, using the snow lotus pill to repair your foundation is not as good as forging your meridians. Your foundation is destroyed, but there are still signs of you condensing your golden core. You're also a talent. Tangwa. It had been a long time since someone praised her as a talent. This Master Lung had a good temper and was not as fierce as the rumors said. He was very easy to get along with. The onlookers were a little doubtful. Master, do you mean that I should use the medicinal effect of the snow lotus pill to forge my meridians? Lung Xing turned and walked away, as if he did not want to pay attention to Tangwa. After taking 6 or 7 steps, his voice came back. Your memory doesn't seem to be very good, and your comprehension ability is not good. I will only say my words once and not twice. The system comforted. Host, Master Lung has always been very unique. His attitude towards you is already very good. You don't have to feel defeated. Look at the people around you. They're looking at you with envy and surprise. If you have other spiritual herbs in your hands, then come here tomorrow to find me. If you find them, I can help you refine pills. Similarly, you can ask me what you said today again. As the saying goes, yesterday is yesterday. Every day is a new beginning. I really don't remember what Master Lung said before. My memory isn't very good, and my comprehension ability is not good. I'll come again tomorrow. Lung Xing. That female cultivator's brain really isn't that good. Tangwa did not leave the medicine market. Instead, she found a place to sit cross-legged. She was not afraid that someone would cause trouble. No one dared to cause trouble in this place, because this was Master Lung's territory. The system hesitated for a moment before asking, Host, is this that guy? Kind of. What do you mean by a little? I'm just not sure. I've already found 2 that look like him. However, their soul aura is not strong enough, so we still need to observe them. The system tried to recall who the other person was. In this world, there were only a handful of people who could make the host speak to them in a pleasant manner. Another person worthy of suspicion was that big fool of a sect, Zhou Ru. I wonder how Zhou Ru is doing in the sect. Is he still getting beaten up every day? The other one is Zhou Ru. Yeah, there are many puzzles in this world. The system suddenly thought of a possibility. Host, could it be that when that guy was on the road, he felt that you were going to suffer a lot, and was so anxious that he started crying? Tangwa almost couldn't hold back her laughter. Who cares if he's crying? As long as he's not an enemy, it's fine. At dawn, Tang Xiang and Tang Sun walked into the medicine market. Tang Xiang wanted to greet Tangua, but was stopped by Tang Sun. She doesn't see us as siblings at all. Why should we go? Chapter 35-26. Xiang, aren't you looking for Master Lung? Let's look for him first. Alright, big brother. I want to go back to see father and mother as soon as possible. Since big sister is like this, there's nothing I can do, Tang Xiang said somewhat disappointedly. After so many years, I'm also a little tired. Recently, Tang Xiang had indeed felt a little tired. There were many times when she couldn't help it. Everything she did before was very smooth, but ever since the last time she went to the torture hall, nothing went smoothly. This made her panic for no reason. She was not willing to recall some of the experiences in the depths of her mind. After so many years, it's about time, Tang Xiang thought silently. She had done so much step by step. The other party's foundation had already been destroyed. How could he have a chance to turn things around? No, she was still a little short. She had to get the Chaos Flame Flower. She had to get this thing. She would definitely not give the other party any chance to get it. Xiang, Tang Sun was puzzled. Tang Xiang quickly came back to her senses. Big brother, let's go find Master Lung. We need to refine the extreme cold Lingji into pills as soon as possible. Alright. Tang Guo was also curious about what kind of role Lung Xing would play today. She wandered around the streets, looking for the spirit medicine she needed. Suddenly, a figure appeared in front of her. She raised her head and met the other party's eyes. You recognized me again. Tang Guo. No, she didn't recognize the other party before speaking. Lung Xing was dressed in black with a long sword hanging at his waist. He was dressed like a swordsman. Thinking back to what he said earlier, he seemed to be revealing his identity to her. System. The more I look, the more similar it seems. Just when Tang Guo and the system thought that Lung Xing took the initiative to reveal his identity to get close to her, they both noticed that it was Tang Xiang who had caught up. Master Lung, I found you. Can you help me refine pills today? Tang Guo's body was very thin and small. Lung Xing was taller, and just happened to block her entire body. Tang Xiang did not see her for a moment. Tang Guo looked at Lung Xing again, and found that Lung Xing's eyes were cold, as if he was suspicious of how Tang Xiang found him in an instant. She also understood that since a person like Lung Xing suspected that there was something wrong with Tang Xiang, he was naturally unwilling to be led by the nose by the other party and be schemed against. You're late. Lung Xing took a step away, exposing Tang Guo. When Tang Xiang saw Tang Guo, her face almost fell. She was in disbelief. How could this be? How could Tang Guo find Lung Xing before her? Let's go. Since you found me, I'll help you refine a cauldron of pills today. Lung Xing walked past Tang Guo and headed in another direction. Tang Guo ignored her and followed her. Big brother, let's come again tomorrow. Tang Xiang did not dare to provoke Lung Xing at all after being unlucky yesterday. He was afraid that Lung Xing's poisonous tongue would say some infuriating words again. Master Lung, you seem to be the one begging me today. Stepping into the private room of the tea house, Tang Guo spoke at the right time. She looked like a fool who didn't take advantage of the situation, which made Lung Xing's forehead twitch. What do you want? Today I'll refine pills for free. No remuneration. Lung Xing was slightly surprised. That's it. No. Lung Xing chuckled. It was unknown whether he was mocking or joking. You really don't look very smart. If it was someone else, they would probably make many requests. Since he said it, he would definitely agree. System. Host, he called you stupid. It's definitely not that guy. The other party's desire to live is very strong. Alright, then I'll agree. I won't take 30% of the remuneration today. On the third day, Lung Xing acted as an old man selling sesame seed cakes. When he felt Tang Guo running in his direction, he ran quickly with the sesame seed cake stall and found Tang Guo's position. He hurriedly asked her if she wanted to buy sesame seed cakes. Chapter 35-27. Master Lung, I helped you out again today. I didn't expect my sister to have such a strong taste. It's unbelievable that she likes an old man like this. Regardless of how ugly Lung Xing's expression was, he still asked, What do you want today? The same as yesterday. I agree. Don't talk. Do you know that it's very noisy? Thus, Tangwa didn't talk to Lung Xing for the whole day, which made Lung Xing feel uncomfortable. On the fourth day, Lung Xing played the role of a pale young cultivator. At a glance, it was obvious that he was in a very bad situation and seemed to be injured. What Lung Xing didn't understand was that no matter how he disguised himself, even if he completely covered up his aura, Tang Xiang could still quickly discover his existence. The reason why he was able to escape every time was that he relied on his powerful spiritual sense to capture Tang Xiang's position in advance. When he saw that something was wrong, he quickly went to find Tangwa. As for why he looked for Tangwa to help him out, perhaps he thought that she was more pleasing to the eye. Lung Xing quickly ran to Tangwa. She didn't seem to see him. Her expression didn't change, as if she didn't recognize him. Sensing that Tang Xiang was catching up from behind, Lung Xing was so angry that his hair was about to stand up. Master Lung, I found you. Tang Xiang's face was happy, but in fact, she wanted to curse in her heart. Could it be that her years of hard work still couldn't compare to the other party's luck? It had been so many years and she had used all her methods, but the other party's luck hadn't been completely wiped out. This made Tang Xiang panic. Only she knew how terrifying the other party's luck was. Tangwa didn't speak or look at Lung Xing. She pretended not to know Lung Xing and didn't seem to recognize the other party's disguise. But Lung Xing had a feeling that the other party should have seen who he was. Seeing that Tang Xiang was about to run over, Lung Xing did something that Tangwa didn't expect. Lung Xing's face turned pale, and his whole body fell on him, as if he couldn't hold on anymore. System. Hey, is this person a scammer? Help me out. You can refine as many pills as you want. There's something wrong with that female cultivator. Tangwa said in a low voice. Master Lung, didn't you only make one furnace every day? Doesn't this go against your principles? Breaking the rules. Rules are dead, but people are alive. The rules are set by me. I can change them however I want. It was only yesterday that Master Lung told me not to speak. Lung Xing gritted his teeth. I was wrong yesterday. I apologize to you. I wouldn't dare. Master Lung, please help me refine pills. The exchange between the two of them happened in an instant. When Lung Xing fell, Tangwa took the opportunity to support him. Sister, you. Before Tangwa could speak, Lung Xing stood up straight and looked at her with satisfaction. How did you recognize me? System, you can do that? She was probably a drama queen. Master Lung is different from the rest. He's very conspicuous in the crowd. Tangwa's answer made Lung Xing a little embarrassed, but his skin was thicker, and his expression didn't change much. All right, since you've recognized me, I'll help you concoct pills. Lung Xing didn't even look at Tang Xiang, and walked towards the tea house. Let's go, it's the same place as yesterday. Tangwa didn't have any intention of paying attention to Tang Xiang. It was a complete waste of her time to argue with Tang Xiang. She had already thought of how to deal with Tang Xiang. The first step was to ensure that her things wouldn't be snatched away. As for the second step, of course, it was to condense a golden core as soon as possible. Sister, what's your relationship with Master Lung? Don't degrade yourself just to refine pills. Young Master Li and sister still have an engagement. Tang Xiang hurriedly persuaded. Young Master Li is a good person. He hasn't broken off the engagement yet. It can be seen that he's sincere to sister. Chapter 35-28. Tang Xiang's words were somewhat interesting. The original owner did have an engagement, and it was decided before she was born. Later, the original owner tested for a supreme great ice spirit root, and the Li family felt that this marriage was good. Now that their foundation was destroyed, the Li family didn't directly break off the engagement. The bigger reason was that the Li family didn't want to lose Family Tang as an ally. Unless they found a better ally than Family Tang, they didn't mention breaking off the engagement all these years. Obviously, they didn't find one. When the original owner was young, she did play very well with Li Sui. Li Sui was also quite satisfied that he had such a fiancé. There shouldn't be any deep feelings between the two of them. With her current situation, Li Sui didn't care about it. He probably felt that she wasn't worthy of him. But he didn't want to give up the marriage relationship with family Tang. According to her memory, Li Sui was Tang Xiang's follower. After some things happened, he still broke off the engagement with the original owner. Female cultivator, your words are really unpleasant. Just now, I pretended to be an injured cultivator. My injuries flared up, and she helped me up. You think that we have an improper relationship? What do you mean by degrading herself for alchemy? Do you mean that I'm a lecher? Lung Xing was unhappy. He turned around and stared at Tang Xiang. He didn't care if she was a delicate little girl or not. I'm thinking, is your mind full of these messy things? Have you ever heard of a saying? What kind of person, what kind of world they imagine? It can be seen that not only are you not what you look like, but you're also sinister inside. You can't let others live well. Sure enough, you're not what you look like. Not only do you dress like a pheasant, but you also like to talk about right and wrong. Aren't you afraid that the heavenly tribulation will cut your tongue off? On the surface, you pretend to be very concerned about her. But in fact, your mouth is full of derogatory words. I've lived for so many years, but I've never seen you show such concern. Disgusting, I lose my appetite. Tang Xiang's face turned white and green and white. When facing Su Zong, she could still control her emotions. But facing this weird-tempered person, whose words were particularly poisonous, every word seemed to peel off the skin on her body. She felt like she was going to explode. Master Lung, aren't you going too far by saying that? The veins on Tang Sun's temples were constantly pulsating. If it wasn't for the fact that he knew that he was no match for Lung Xing and couldn't meet force with force, he would have already made his move. Xiang is just concerned about her. Lung Xing's eyes were filled with mockery. Concerned? He shifted his gaze to Tang Xiang. You're concerned about her? Without waiting for Tang Xiang to reply, he said, You want to find this Tao to refine pills? Yes, Master Lung. All right, you said you were concerned about someone. Swear on your inner demons today that you are really concerned about her, and not a hypocrite like I said. If they were not what they appeared to be, they would be tortured to death by their inner demons, and would never be able to ascend for the rest of their lives. As long as you dare to swear, no matter what pill you want to concoct in the future, no matter how many pills you want to concoct, I will not refuse. There were already many people watching. Many people heard Lung Xing's words and immediately looked at Tang Xiang with envy. If she really cared about that female cultivator, then it would be a sure win for her. How is it? Tang Xiang did not expect that Lung Xing would be able to accurately slap her face every time. Chapter 35-29. It seems that you don't dare to swear on your inner demons. As soon as Lung Xing said this, all eyes were on Tang Xiang, which made her feel a little hot. For a moment, she was also a little flustered. What was going on? Why was the other party's luck getting better and better these days? Her foundation was destroyed. For more than 10 years, everything she did had been successful. Her luck should have been wiped out. She thought of the other party in her memory. That luck was like a ray of light that illuminated the entire earth. Her face turned pale. Could it be that after working hard for so many years, she still couldn't suppress the other party's luck? The other party's luck should have been almost devoured. Why was it still rising slowly? This female cultivator doesn't seem to dare to swear. Could it be that she's really two-faced? Have you forgotten where we are? This is the cultivation world where the strong preys on the weak. How can true concern be so easy to get? Even if they're Tao companions, after being intimate just now, they'll still fight each other. That makes sense. Fortunately, Master Lung is here. Otherwise, that black-clothed female cultivator would really be unable to explain herself. System. Host, isn't Master Lung very awesome? Well, you don't say. I forgot that oaths in the cultivation world are very useful. The more vicious the oath, the faster it will come true. Hearing this sentence, the system vaguely felt that a storm was coming. If you didn't swear, others wouldn't be able to get such an opportunity even if they begged for it. It's rare for Master Lung to speak. Tang Guo reminded in real time. Master Lung isn't making things difficult for you. You said that you were very concerned about me. You only need to swear that you're truly concerned about me. If you violate the oath, you'll immediately be punished by your inner demons. It's not difficult to say a few words. I thought about it. You've been concerned about me all these years, but you also know that I've suffered a huge physical and mental trauma, leaving behind a huge psychological shadow. So no one really believes it. Tangua's expression was very gentle, which was rare. After hearing Master Lung's words just now, I thought of how we'll get along in the future. We are indeed related by blood. You've been so persistent for so many years. If I don't say something, there will always be people who think that I'm vicious and don't care about you, my biological sister. The surrounding people were already watching the show. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that Tangua and Tang Xiang were not on good terms. They were looking forward to what she was going to say next. She continued, "How about this? In the future, when you give me something, I won't reject it. As long as you swear on your inner demons that you're giving it to me with sincerity, and not with sincerity, you'll immediately be punished by your inner demons. Everything that happened in the past has affected me greatly. In the future, if you care about me and want me to believe you, you have to swear on your inner demons. If it's not true, you will still be punished by your inner demons. If that's the case, I'll definitely believe you and never doubt you again. Of course, you can choose to refuse." When everyone heard this, all sorts of strange expressions appeared on their faces. Then they all stared at Tang Xiang. This matter was neither difficult nor easy. Just as she had said, as long as one was sincere, an oath made by a heart demon would have no effect at all. So would this white-clothed female cultivator agree? "Sister, don't you trust me that much?" Tang Xiang tried to save her dignity, but Tangua did not take the bait at all. "Yes, my body and mind have been greatly hurt. I don't trust anyone, including you, Tang Xiang." Chapter 35:30. Don't talk so much nonsense. Whether you swear or not, it's all up to you. If you don't want to, I'll leave first. Leave, it's a waste of my time. Tangua, you're going too far. Xiang is concerned about you, but you don't think about her at all. Tang Sun didn't dare to argue with Lung Xing, so he could only choose to argue with Tangua. Tangua turned around and said coldly, "My heart is weak right now." Everyone, female cultivators nowadays are all two-faced. She clearly looks like a cold person, but why does it feel like there's something wrong with her words? As expected, female cultivators are the best at lying in the world. If the system had a face, it would want to cover it up. It always knew that the host was shameless, but it really didn't know that she was this shameless. "Sister, I don't want our relationship to be like this." "Then do you swear?" Tangua looked straight at Tang Xiang. "If you swear, you can improve our relationship. At least I'll trust you a little more. Although it's a little, it can be accumulated." "System, accumulated can be used like this? Amazing." The onlookers couldn't help but laugh. But when they saw Tang Sun's angry look, they all shook their heads, not intending to expose him. Why would they care about other people's matters? It was fine to just watch a joke. These two people's identities should be extraordinary. They didn't want to cause trouble. "Let's go. This is really a waste of my time here." Lung Xing's face was ugly. Tang Xiang called him a lecher today, making him especially unhappy. He turned around and glanced at Tang Xiang, saying coldly, "I won't help you refine pills in the future. Don't come out. No one dares to say that I'm a lecher. Also, change the rules from now on. Add one more. If I don't like people, I won't help them refine pills." Rules were meant to be changed, not to mention that he set them himself. Although everyone was a little bitter, they didn't dare to say anything. At least the other party didn't say that he wouldn't refine pills in the future. No matter what spirit medicine fell into Lung Xing's hands, they were all high grade, and the quantity was not small. Until now, they hadn't heard of him wasting a cauldron. Looking for a cold star meant that there was no need to waste precious spirit herbs, especially some precious spirit herbs. "Xiang, let's go. There's no need to say anything to such an unreasonable person. There are plenty of alchemists in the world of cultivation. Lung Xing won't make a difference. What do you want to refine? Take it out. I'll refine it for you. This Taoist is a man of his word. If you want to refine any pills in the future, this Taoist will refine them for you, as long as you can take out the spiritual herbs. I won't ask for any compensation." When he said this, Lung Xing felt a little heartache. He was too impulsive. His brain had been muddled by that two-faced female cultivator, which was why he had made such a stupid promise at that time. It was a huge loss. Tangwa could see the annoyance in Lung Xing's expression. She pretended not to see it, and took out all the spirit herbs. You're lucky. He's not smart, but he's lucky. Fortune favors fools. You're really lucky to have met me. If not for that female cultivator, this Tao would not have been so impulsive. Lung Xing muttered to himself until all the pills were refined. After the required pills were refined, Tangwa left. Before leaving, Lung Xing gave her a jade pendant with a sour face, saying that if she needed to refine pills, she could contact him at any time. Such a useful alchemist, of course, Tangwa wouldn't miss it. Apex. Chapter 35-31. She didn't return to the Almighty Beginning sect directly. Instead, she chose to go to the cultivation cave abode outside, and prepared to use the snow lotus elixir. Lung Xing suggested that she use the snow lotus elixir on her meridians. She thought it was feasible. Her foundation had been destroyed. Using the chaos flame flower to restore it was the easiest way. It wouldn't be easy to restore it. The original owner had already found a shortcut. Her lifelong wish was to stand up again. Of course, she would fulfill this wish using the original owner's method. After about half a month, Tangwa came out of the cave abode. Although she hadn't condensed a golden core, she had a new understanding and was much clearer about the path she had to take in the future. Now, not only was her dantian full of spirit power, but so were all the meridians in her body. It was as if there were countless rivers in her body, and those rivers were spirit power. The meridians of a supreme great spirit root were naturally very superior. Tangwa planned to return to the sect to take a look. As for Family Tang, she didn't plan to go back. Getting entangled with those people was just a waste of time. She was returning to the sect because of the recent beast tide outbreak. The sect seemed to be organizing disciples to go out and train. If she could follow the main group, she naturally wouldn't choose to act alone. Moreover, Tang Xiang would definitely go. If she didn't go, how could Tang Xiang slowly reveal her true colors? If she followed the main group of the sect and hunted demon beasts, she would also receive a certain reward. In terms of rewards, the sect was still fair and wouldn't deliberately be harsh. The city that was besieged by the beast tide would also give a certain reward. Although the arrival of the beast tide was very dangerous, it also brought about opportunities for many people. When Tangwa stepped into the mountain gate, she found that the mountain gate was very quiet. Previously, she thought that even if no one dared to touch her, the sect wouldn't find a reason to punish them if they ridiculed her. However, the disciples standing on both sides of the mountain gate only took a look at her identity card and let her in without a single word of ridicule. Such a strange scene attracted her attention. Along the way to the cultivation residence, she didn't encounter anyone who ridiculed or made things difficult for her. This made Tangwa feel even more strange. Could it be that something had happened in the sect, and those disciples had all gathered? However, when she checked her identity card just now, the sect didn't release any news. She was just a small character, and the elders were all very busy. It was impossible for them to target her and deliberately miss out on the news. Junior sister Tang. Tangwa had just walked to the door of her residence when she heard someone calling her. He turned around and saw Zhou Ru walking over from not far away. He still looked silly. I heard that you're back, so I came over to take a look. You're really back. So it's Senior Marshal Brother Zhou. Zhou Ru smiled foolishly. Have you eaten? Do you want to go to the cafeteria to eat? Is there anything in particular you want to eat? I happen to be free, so I can help you. Aren't you in charge of the fire? Tangwa remembered that Zhou Ru had said that the other party was in charge of the cafeteria. Zhou Ru scratched his head and looked silly. He smiled very happily. Sometimes I can cook. Recently, they don't want me to light the fire and cook. Tangwa wondered. Why don't you do those things anymore? They said that my talent is not bad, and that I should spend more time cultivating. Tangwa didn't refuse. She was indeed a little hungry, so she followed Zhou Ru to the cafeteria and ate to her heart's content. After eating, Tangwa decided to ask Zhou about something. Senior brother Zhou, why is the sect so quiet today? Didn't you see many familiar faces? Well, they should all be at the cliff of reflection. Zhou smiled foolishly. This is all thanks to the things that junior sister Tang gave me. I recorded all those who beat people, and gave the image stone to Elder Su. Elder Su was very happy, and encouraged me to do more of these things. Tangwa understood. It turned out that those disciples who bullied people were all sent to the torture hall by this big fool. Junior sister Tang, I've used up most of the things you gave me. You won't be angry, right? Tangwa shook her head. I'm not angry. It's useless to leave those things with me. It's just right to use them. By the way, I still have a lot of them. I'll give them to you later. Did anyone find trouble with you for these things? Some did, but they're all at the cliff of reflection now. They'll be there for at least 5 years. Chapter 35-32. Tangwa also gave Zhou a lot of image stones. After shuttling through various small worlds for so many years, there were countless of them in the system space. Under normal circumstances, she didn't need these things. Being able to use them, as she said, was a good thing. After staying in the sect for a few days, Tangwa found that the disciples who bullied the weak and liked to cause trouble were all sent to the cliff of reflection as punishment. Back then, the ones who hit her when she was down were basically this group of disciples who didn't have much cultivation and especially wanted to humiliate her under their feet. As for those core disciples with higher cultivation levels and good talent, they generally wouldn't lower themselves to attack her, especially when there was Tang Xiang, who protected Tang Gua on the surface. Who would be willing to let this kind of weakness fall into the hands of others? Junior martial sister Tang, I brought you some food mainly because I didn't see you eating in the cafeteria. For several days, Zhou would deliver food to Tang Gua on time. The taste was good, and one could tell at a glance that it was carefully prepared. I've troubled senior martial brother Zhou again. Zhou quickly shook his head and smiled honestly. It's no trouble, this is what I should do. The image stones that junior martial sister Tang gave me can be sold for a lot of spirit stones. I'm just giving junior martial sister Tang 2 meals. I'm taking advantage of you. Since senior martial brother Zhou said so, I won't be polite. Tang Guo remembered that the sect was about to organize the disciples to stop the beast tide, and asked, about this beast tide, does senior martial brother Zhou plan to participate? Does junior martial sister Tang want to go? Tang Guo nodded. Of course I want to go. There aren't many opportunities like this, and I can get double the reward. Moreover, the demonic beasts that we hunt will belong to us. And there will be an elder leading the team, so it's safer. Then I'll go too, Zhou quickly said. But junior martial sister Tang hasn't reached the golden core stage, so I'm afraid it will be very dangerous. However, I'm quite resistant to beatings, and my injuries heal very quickly. When the time comes, junior martial sister Tang will be with me. If there's any danger, you can hide behind me, and it won't be that dangerous. Senior martial brother Zhou, are you using yourself as a shield? Zhou didn't feel embarrassed at all. Instead he said, after all, I'm quite tough, so it's my duty to protect junior martial sister Tang. If it weren't for your help, I would have been beaten every day. Previously, other than when I was tending to the fire, the rest of the time, the people in the sect liked to beat me up. System. Host, it's a miracle that this big idiot is still alive. Judging from the strength of those people, most of them are in the foundation establishment stage. Only a few of them are in the golden core stage. Why didn't senior martial brother Zhou fight back? Are we just going to let them beat us up? I can't beat them. They outnumber me, Zhou said honestly. My skin is thick and heals quickly. Even if I get beaten up, it won't affect my cultivation. If you resist, you will still be beaten. If you don't resist, you will still be beaten. When Zhou saw the strange look in Tanggua's eyes, he lowered his voice and said, Junior sister Tang, let me tell you a secret. Actually, there's another reason why I didn't resist. What is the reason? I feel that after being beaten up, the meridians in my body become unobstructed. If I were to cultivate again, my cultivation speed would be 10 times faster. Every time I get beaten up, I will have a small breakthrough. Zhou Ru scratched his head. Seeing that Tang Gua didn't show a mocking expression, he continued. It's just that in these 2 years, the improvement from the beatings isn't that big. I guess it's because their strength is too low. So Senior Marshal Brother Zhou didn't hesitate to send them to the Cliff of Reflection? Chapter 35-33. I've made a fool of myself in front of you, Junior Sister Tang. After all, the sect has a rule that we can't hurt fellow disciples. They've beaten me up for so many years, so they should go to the Cliff of Reflection to reflect on themselves. Zhou Ru still had a silly look on his face as he spoke. With his honest appearance and silly tone, no one would think that he was a person who was full of schemes. Moreover, Zhou Ru's eyes were clear and could see through him at a glance. He gave people the feeling that he was just thinking about these things and didn't plan it carefully. System. So this is what it means to be two-faced without knowing it? When Tang Gua returned to the sect this time, Tang Xiang didn't come to find her like before. Tang Xiang probably wanted to kill her when she saw her now. Tang Gua and Zhou Ru signed up to fight against the beast tide that broke out in Long Cave City. Long Cave City wasn't too far from the Taichu sect. Of course, this was only for cultivators. The sect seniors leading the team had Dharma treasures that could be used to travel. It only took half a day to reach Long Cave City on the sect's top-grade Dharma treasure. It was worth mentioning that Long Cave City was also close to the sun-traversing snow mountain. It was obvious that the sun-traversing snow mountain was bigger than imagined. Other than the elders of the Taichu sect, Yu Heng was also leading the team this time. Tang Gua was a little surprised that Yu Heng was leading the team, but she also felt that it was within her expectations. After all, she had changed a lot of details up until now. It was impossible for the plot and details to be the same as in her memory. Moreover, the memories she obtained were vague. There were many things that were missing. Tang Xiang would definitely go with Yu Heng leading the team. This was what she meant when she said that it wasn't surprising. On the day of departure, Zhou Ru arrived early to wait for Tang Gua outside her residence. The two of them went to the sect square together. There were already many disciples waiting there. Tang Gua's appearance attracted some attention. These people didn't mock and ridicule her, but they weren't as friendly as before. They either looked away after a glance, or kept staring at her with some disdain in their eyes. There were also some people who looked a little regretful. No matter how bad her reputation was, it was an indisputable fact that she was once a genius. It was indeed a pity that she suddenly became a good-for-nothing. After waiting for about 15 minutes, Yu Heng appeared with Tang Xiang and Ji Qi. When Tang Xiang appeared, her gaze fell on Tang Gua. Perhaps it was because Tang Xiang was too focused that she attracted Yu Heng and Ji Qi's attention. Both of their gazes paused on Tang Gua for a moment, but Ji Qi only shifted his gaze away. Perhaps it was because of what happened last time that left a deep impression on Ji Qi, so he didn't show any signs of disgust towards her. Yu Heng's eyes were colder. At this moment, he waved his hand, and a huge flying ship appeared on the square. This spaceship could accommodate tens of thousands of people. However, this time, the number of disciples who were going to support Long Cave City was not as many. From the number of people in the square, there were about 3,000 people. This number was already quite a lot. Disciples who are participating in this battle, listen up. Demonic beasts that have lost their minds will not only lose their minds, but their strength will also increase tremendously. According to past experiences, their strength will increase by at least 2 times, and even 5 times. It was Yu Heng who was speaking. His gaze paused on Tang Gua's face again. She didn't know if it was intentional or not. Chapter 35-34. As for the disciples below the golden core stage, I'll give you some time to consider. Although the rewards are generous, you have to assess your own abilities. If you lose your life in the beast tide, then you're overestimating your abilities. Instantly, Tang Gua understood that Yu Heng's words were meant for her. This time, Tang Xiang didn't try to persuade Tang Gua. Perhaps it was because she had suffered a loss before, so she still hadn't recovered from the shock. She only glanced at Tang Gua, and then lowered her head. giving others the feeling that she did not know how to persuade Tangua. Tangua found it very funny. What's with that look on his face? Anyway, she had learned something from that Master Lung. The oaths in this world were especially effective. No one dared to make an oath casually. This was the terror of oaths that many people had overlooked. The original owner did not think of this method. This was fate. Fate was unpredictable. Perhaps there were some reasons that caused the people here to subconsciously not think about this. But in the future, if Tang Xiang came to drink green tea in front of her, she would just make her swear. Another 15 minutes passed. There were a few Foundation establishment disciples who chose to give up on the mission to resist the beast tide. Is there anyone who wants to give up? Yu Heng asked. There's no need to regret. Your choice is to act according to your abilities. If you don't have such strong abilities, you will not be persisting in your Tao heart. That's called stupidity. Beast tides happen frequently. You will have many opportunities. When you cultivate to the golden core stage, you will have more confidence in participating in this mission. Cultivation was a gradual process. Don't be impatient or anxious. Since there's no more, let's set off. Yu Heng's gaze swept across Tangua's body. He casually jumped onto the flying ship. Tangua pretended that she did not see anything and boarded the ship with Zhou Ru. This flying ship did not have any rooms. There were only praying mats placed next to each other. It was obviously a very powerful Dharma treasure, but the layout was very simple. Of course, the position of the praying mats was also particular. Disciples with low cultivation were destined to not have good seats. Tangua and Zhou Ru were sitting at the edge of the room. Junior sister Tang, are you hungry? Zhou Ru took out some food and handed it to Tangua. I've prepared a lot of food. If you're hungry, you can ask me. In addition, there are some fruits that you should like. Thank you, senior brother Zhou. Why are you being so polite? I've already said that you don't have to be so polite. I should be the one thanking you. Junior sister Tang, why is that person staring at you? Zhou Ru's gaze shifted towards Tang Xiang. Junior sister Tang, does she bully you often? Tangua looked up and asked. Everyone in the sect thinks that I bullied her. Why does senior martial brother Zhou think that she bullied me? How could junior martial sister Tang bully her? Zhou Ru's face was full of doubt. Isn't she fine? I know who she is. She is Peak Master Yu's most beloved disciple Tang Xiang. The two of you are even biological sisters. She's at the gold core stage, while junior martial sister Tang is at the foundation establishment stage. I also heard that junior martial sister Tang was often bullied by others in the past. How could she have the time to bully her? What if I really bullied her? Then it's most likely that she angered junior martial sister Tang. Zhou Ru said to himself. He did not feel that there was anything wrong with his words. Junior martial sister Tang is a reasonable person who is willing to help others. She would not bully anyone. System. Young man, what nonsense are you talking about? Chapter 35-35. Senior martial brother Zhou. Has anyone ever told you that you have a good eye? Zhou Ru shook his head. They all call me a big idiot. The only one who said I have a good eye is junior martial sister Tang. That's because they don't have a good eye. System. You're fooling people with a straight face again. However, Zhou Ru thought about it seriously and said, what junior martial sister Tang says makes sense. Those who say that junior martial sister Tang have a bad eye. Junior martial sister Tang is such a good person. How could she be a vicious person? Zhou Ru's voice wasn't soft. Moreover, they were all cultivators, so his words were heard by others. Someone immediately laughed and said, it's that big idiot. Everyone avoids her, but this idiot still dares to get close to her. When he encounters danger, he won't even know if he's betrayed by her. Although these people didn't think Tang Xiang was that good, they also didn't think that Tangua wasn't a bad person. After all, Tangua had a fierce reputation all these years, whether it was before her foundation was destroyed or after it was destroyed. Although she didn't kill her own sect's disciples, who knew if she really didn't when she was training outside? It was normal for a cultivator to kill in order to snatch resources. I'm not lying. Junior martial sister Tang is a good person. If you don't think so, then there must be something wrong with your eyes. Zhou Ru stood up and argued with others. His silly appearance was really cute. Haha, this idiot. When he's betrayed, he'll probably help others count the spirit stones. Idiot, what kind of bewitching soup did she feed you to make you so mesmerized? It's probably because of her good looks that this idiot is so mesmerized. This idiot is at least in the golden core stage. Although he just advanced, he's still useful to that trash. It's most likely because of her beauty that the idiot obediently took the bait. Zhou Ru was silly, but it didn't mean that there was something wrong with his IQ. He understood what they were saying, and his face immediately turned red with anger. He wanted to beat them up. Tang Guo pulled Zhou Ru back. Zhou Ru's expression was stubborn as he said in a fit of anger, "They're going too far with their words. They deserve a beating. If you take the initiative to attack, they will have a reason to lock you up in the cliff of reflection and not let you fight against the beast tide." Zhou Ru sat down unwillingly. He didn't care about fighting against the beast tide. But if he was chased to the cliff of reflection, he wouldn't be able to go with Junior Tang and protect her. She was so weak, and these people were so evil. It was really worrying. She was weak and petite, and her skin was tender. It was obvious that she would not be able to take a beating. If you want to beat them up, why don't you wait until no one is watching, and beat them up secretly? That way, no one will leave any evidence. They don't have evidence, so the law-enforcing patriarch can't punish you. Tang Guo secretly sent a sound transmission to Zhou Ru. But remember, clean it up. Don't leave any evidence behind. Zhou Ru's eyes lit up, and he praised Tang Guo for her intelligence. System, you're teaching bad things to little kids. However, Zhou Ru was still a little unwilling to let these people humiliate Tang Guo just now. She immediately said, "You have to pay attention to evidence before you speak. You're speaking nonsense and disrespecting Junior Marshal Sister Tang. If you speak nonsense, your tongue will rot in the future." Tang Guo's eyes narrowed slightly. She couldn't tell that this idiot would say something like this. She thought of her new method and cooperated with Zhou Ru. "Senior Marshal Brothers, did you really see those humiliating words? Do you have evidence?" Chapter 35-36. Isn't that the case? Those people were also somewhat unconvinced. Tell me, didn't you use some dirty tricks to make this fool listen to you? Who would believe you if you say it out loud? Seeing that the other party was so cooperative, they directly took the bait. Tang Guo was very happy in her heart, but she did not show it on her face. Instead, she said, "Senior brothers, since you're so sure, then let's make an oath. If I use shady means to trick Senior Marshal Brother Zhou, then my cultivation will never improve. If I didn't use these shady means, then all of you will have rotten tongues." The few people who had spoken were all stunned. "Why are you making an oath out of nowhere? Didn't you say that I used dirty tricks? After thinking about it, there's no way to prove my innocence. So why don't we make an oath? We'll make an oath on our inner demons. Making an oath on our inner demons is the most effective. It's said that the inner demons can be effective for as short as an instant, and as long as 3 days. She was really thankful that the rules of this world were so convenient. When telling a lie, one would know the truth after making an oath. However, ordinary people were not willing to touch this line at all. Tang Guo guessed that there must be something that deliberately made people ignore this line. "Senior brothers, are you willing to make an oath?" Although these people did not think that Tang Guo was innocent, they were also afraid that she was really innocent. For a moment, they did not speak anymore. Instead, they shifted their gazes to the side and looked around. "Senior brothers and sisters, the next time you talk about me, why don't you make an oath first? I've already thought of the content of the oath. Just say, what kind of person do you think Tang Guo is? I swear on my inner demons that if I lie, my tongue will rot tomorrow. Senior brothers and sisters, if you say so, I won't stop you." Tang Guo's voice reached everyone's ears. When Tang Xiang heard it, her expression turned ugly. However, she lowered her head slightly and closed her eyes, so no one noticed. Yu Hong also heard it. He could not help but glance at Tang Guo. The elder sitting next to him laughed and said, "In any case, she used to be a genius, so she's still smart." Once she said this, not many disciples would really dare to make an oath. All cultivators know the terror of oaths. Speaking of which, it's a pity. He's such a good seedling. If nothing happens, he will definitely become the #1 person in the cultivation world in less than 30 years. As the elder spoke, his face was filled with emotion. Back then, they had indeed thought of many ways. Even if this disciple's temperament was not good, he did not do anything excessive. At most, he was a little arrogant, which was still tolerable. However, there was still no way to help her recover. Now that things had come to a conclusion, they could only give up. People in the world of cultivation were improving every day. They couldn't possibly waste too many resources on a piece of trash. Later on, when he heard many unbearable rumors, he felt that it was a pity. Now that he saw the other party, his thoughts changed. It seemed that many things were different from the rumors. Peak Master Yu. Over the years, this disciple's temperament seems to have been tempered quite a bit. There are countless miracles in the world of cultivation. If she has another opportunity, maybe. Is it really that easy to obtain a fortuitous opportunity? Yu Heng's tone was indifferent. He merely used some opportunistic methods, which made Elder Feng see him in a new light. This disciple's temperament is not good. Her foundation has been destroyed, and she will seek revenge for the smallest grievance. What fortuitous opportunity is there? Feng Gulin shook his head lightly. Peak Master Yu, do you have any prejudice against this disciple? I think it's quite good. Look at him, he is neither arrogant nor rash. When he was being verbally humiliated, he was still so indifferent. He thought of a method that no one dared to offend. Is that not good? If his temperament is really bad, he should be angry out of humiliation now. Elder Feng, you can't judge a book by its cover. Chapter 35-37. Yueheng's cold words made Feng Gulin shake his head continuously. He was curious as to how this disciple had offended Yueheng to make him dislike her so much. When this disciple first entered the sect, the elders all felt that Yueheng did not seem to care much about this extremely talented disciple. Fortunately, this disciple was talented and had good comprehension skills. As long as she was given enough resources, it would be easy for her to grow. Besides, the sect also had its own lessons. If a disciple wanted to learn something, as long as she did not miss the lessons given by the elders, and the master did not teach her in private, it would not affect her too much. Previously, they thought that Yueheng wanted to train this talented disciple's temperament. Later on, Tang Gua had indeed grown very well. Other than his temperament, he would always get a good ranking in every competition he participated in. Now, it seemed that Yueheng had turned a blind eye to this talented disciple. Feng Gulin sighed, and felt that it was a pity. Such a good disciple had been wasted by Yueheng. Peak Master Yueheng, you said that you should not judge a book by its cover. I think you should think more about it. I think that this disciple's temperament is not bad. It's just a pity. Feng Gulin thought of the current situation, and shook his head. Forget it. It seems that there is no point in talking about this now. After all, the chances of her recovering are almost zero. The easiest way is to obtain a mixed flame flower. It's so difficult. Seeing that Feng Gulin was sighing, Yueheng did not say anything. He hadn't told anyone about the chaos flame flower in his possession. He had kept it in his spatial ring all this time. If Tang Gua had a better temperament, she would have treated Xiang better. Xiang would not have given it to Yueheng, just because her cultivation was stagnant. It was not a big deal. However, all these years Xiang's frequent awakening from her meditative state had something to do with Tang Gua. There was also the matter of him becoming a demon. Hence, he could not give the primordial flame flower to him. What if Yueheng's foundation was restored, and she started cultivating again, and became a talented person? If Yueheng really became a demon in the future, wouldn't he be helping a demon? Wouldn't he be harming Xiang, and causing trouble for the entire cultivation world? After what Tang Gua had said, no one dared to say anything bad about her. Still, from the bottom of their hearts, they didn't believe that Tang Gua was a good person. They didn't use any tricks to fool Zhou Ru. However, they were also afraid that if everything she said was true and she swore, wouldn't they be at a disadvantage? The rest of the journey was relatively peaceful. During this period, some people couldn't help but mock Tang Gua. but they were all persuaded to leave by her inner demon oath. These people didn't look at Tanggua kindly, but they really didn't look for trouble with her. Tang Xiang also didn't look for Tanggua. She was also afraid. She was afraid that Tanggua would ask if what she said was true. If you swear, I'll believe you. It was fine if it happened once or twice, but if it happened a few more times, the onlookers would have doubts in their hearts when they saw that she didn't dare to swear. They would suspect that she was sincere. She might as well pretend to be very disappointed and not pay attention to the other party anymore. Tanggua understood Tang Xiang's thoughts. If Tang Xiang didn't come to bother her, she would be much quieter. Even if they took such a powerful flying artifact, it would take half a day to reach Long Cave City. After no one came to disturb them, Tanggua started to think about condensing her Jindan. Zhou Ru naturally played the role of a guardian. Chapter 35-38. Half a day later, Feng Gulin and Yu Heng arrived at Long Cave City with the disciples of the Absolute Beginning sect. The city lord of Long Cave City was already waiting for them outside the city gates. This time, it wasn't just the Absolute Beginning sect that had come to reinforce Long Cave City. There were also people from other sections. Amongst them, the Absolute Beginning sect was one of the most powerful sections. When he saw the Absolute Beginning sect arrive, the city lord's frowning face immediately broke into a smile. Peak Lord Yu Elder Feng, please come in. The residence has already prepared wine. Yu Feng shook his head. There's no need for wine. Let's first deal with the matter of resisting the beast tide. It won't be too late for the city lord to spend time thinking about it after this is over. Peak Lord Yu is right. Let's resist the beast tide first. Everything else isn't important for now. Feng Gulin followed. How could he be in the mood to drink in this situation? He actually understood the city lord's intentions. He was most likely afraid of neglecting these people who came to help. Seeing the other party's anxious expression, he understood. As expected, the city lord's smile widened when he heard this. All right, since both of you are straightforward people, then I won't stand on ceremony. The beast tide this time is indeed fierce. From what we've discovered so far, most of the demonic beasts that have lost their will this time should be late-stage chi refinement and early-stage foundation establishment. You should also know that after demonic beasts lose their will, their strength will increase greatly. So this time, the demonic beast army's strength is mainly at the foundation establishment stage and above. Among them, there are also some at the golden core stage, but there aren't many. As for nascent soul stage, we haven't discovered them yet. Their strength is not to be feared, but there are many of them. Fortunately, we have everyone's help. Otherwise, the cultivators of our Long Cave City would have been exhausted to death by these demonic beasts. Without the lips, the teeth will feel cold. City Lord need not worry. Everyone will come to help now. If Long Cave City falls, it won't be good for anyone. Feng Gulin said. Then let's make the arrangements. Arrange for the disciples to go kill the demonic beasts earlier, and replace the cultivators from before to rest, and reorganize to reduce casualties. Disciples, listen up. Next, we need 2 people to form teams. If you're willing to form a team, 2 people will form a small team. Once you've formed a team, we'll split into teams. When the time comes, the 2 of you will need to take care of each other, and have absolute trust in each other. You can leave your backs to each other to ensure your safety. Yu Heng said to all the disciples. All right, let's begin. Since it was voluntary to form a team, the disciples were naturally willing to form a team with someone stronger, or even someone of equal strength. For example, Tanggua, who was in the foundation establishment stage and the golden core stage, would definitely not be considered. However, foundation establishment disciples wouldn't have any complaints. Everyone would choose what was best for them. When the time came, the foundation establishment disciples would definitely not dare to go too deep. In any case, the elders of the sect had already made arrangements. When the time came, with the elders watching from the side, as long as they didn't disobey orders, there wouldn't be too much danger. When the time came, the elders would not act. Instead, they would stay in the air to protect the disciples they were leading. When they saw that the situation was not right, they would act at the right time to help those disciples who were in danger. Therefore, the foundation establishment disciples were very tactful and formed a team with someone of equal strength. At this time, a golden core stage female cultivator came in front of Tang Guo and Zhou Ru. No, to be exact, she came for Zhou Ru. Zhou Ru's reputation was still known by some people. He was famous mainly because he was more resistant to beatings. Chapter 35-39. Senior Brother Zhou, you're at the early gold core stage, and I'm also at the early gold core stage, and I'm about to break through to the middle gold core stage. Why don't we team up? The female cultivator looked at Zhou Ru with her watery eyes, and intentionally or unintentionally glanced at Tang Guo, and continued, Senior Brother Zhou, in this kind of thing, a gold core cultivator and a gold core cultivator can make the best use of the cultivator. The implication was that Tang Guo's existence would drag Zhou Ru down. The reason why she came to find Zhou Ru was that the other gold core cultivators had already formed a team, and she was the only one left. Otherwise, she wouldn't have taken a fancy to Zhou Ru, who had just broken through to the gold core stage and still looked silly. As long as there was a choice, she wouldn't choose to cooperate with Zhou Ru. I've already formed a team with junior sister Tang. You can find someone else. Zhou Ru didn't seem to see the female cultivator's charming eyes, nor did he feel that the female cultivator's voice was so pleasant. He just thought that since he came with junior sister Tang, he would definitely form a team with junior sister Tang. How could he form a team with someone else? Senior Brother Zhou, you have to think carefully. She's only at the foundation establishment stage, and I'm at the gold core stage. If we form a team, we'll definitely kill more demonic beasts, and the rewards will be more abundant. Relatively speaking, the danger will also be reduced a lot. The female cultivator was somewhat unwilling, and she's only at the foundation establishment stage. I'm afraid she'll drag us down and implicate Senior Brother Zhou. We're here to kill demonic beasts, not to enjoy the light in the mountains. This is not a child's play. Seeing that the other slightly stronger foundation establishment stage cultivators had almost formed a team, if she retreated at this time, she could only form a team with the weakest foundation establishment stage cultivator. Thinking of this, the female cultivator looked at Tang Guo with a very unfriendly gaze. Tang Guo ignored her, and Zhou Ru also ignored her, constantly fiddling with a pair of boxing gloves in his hand. This pair of boxing gloves looked ordinary, black, and didn't look like a very powerful magic weapon. However, this thing was given to Zhou Ru by Tang Guo just now. Zhou Ru was not suitable to use a sword or a knife. He was suitable for close combat, and he was more resistant to beatings. Tang Guo found a pair of boxing gloves in the system space. Although it looked ordinary, in fact the things that she put in the system space were not ordinary. Junior sister Tang, I feel that this pair of gloves are very suitable for me. I feel that I can exert several times my strength when I start using it. In the past, when I used a sword or a saber, I always felt that it was very awkward. I also tried a whip, but it didn't work. I can't exert my strength, I can't use it. However, after wearing these gloves, I feel like I can become one with them. Zhou Ru was a little happy. Later, we will definitely be able to kill a lot of demonic beasts and gain a lot. Senior Brother Zhou like it. Senior Brother Zhou. I'm Tang to accept to junior sister disciple. Lu to kill star. I. To use. To make to use. I seriously do. Zhou Ru felt that this pair of gloves was not as ordinary as it looked on the surface. It. To him. Senior Brother Zhou. Seeing that Zhou Ru ignored her, the female cultivator stomped her feet angrily. She looked at Tang Guo with more and more disgust. If she didn't want to cooperate with Zhou Ru, she wouldn't even look at this silly boy. Just a pair of ordinary boxing gloves, and he was so happy. He was too short-sighted. Junior sister Tang, the elder asked us to form a team. Let's go. Zhou Ru ignored the female cultivator and Tang Guo, and went to meet Feng Gulin, making the female cultivator's face turn red. Chapter 3540. That female cultivator didn't expect Zhou Ru to completely ignore her and insist on teaming up with the weak chicken Tang Gua. Seeing that it was almost time, the elder urged her again. She could only reluctantly team up with the weakest foundation establishment disciple present. This foundation establishment disciple was also a bit nervous and a bit embarrassed. I've implicated senior apprentice Sister Liang. Wu Mingxin was the weakest foundation establishment disciple present. Currently, he was only in the middle stage of foundation establishment, and he had just stepped into it. This time, half of the foundation establishment disciples and half of the Aura's core disciples came. The reason he came was because he thought that with a sect elder leading the team, it would be safer than going out alone. He didn't expect to encounter such an awkward situation. Apart from himself, the others were all in the late stage of foundation establishment and above. Indeed, no one was willing to team up with him. Liang Wen'er was only in the Aura's core stage. Teaming up with him was indeed a grievance. Liang Wen'er's expression wasn't very good, but there was no other way. Everyone else had gone to sign up, so she could only team up with Wu Mingxin. It's true that we're teaming up, but you're only in the middle stage of foundation establishment. When the time comes, you have to take care of yourself. When fighting against the demonic beasts, I only have a pair of eyes. It's inevitable that I won't be able to take care of myself. Wu Mingxin understood Liang Wen'er's meaning. She was disdaining him and didn't want him to be a burden. She also clearly told him that if there was any danger, he had to deal with it himself. Senior apprentice Sister Liang, don't worry. I won't cause you any trouble. When the time comes, just deal with the demonic beasts. Don't worry about me. But this way, it would violate the principle of teaming up. Liang Wen'er wasn't willing to cooperate. Wu Mingxin didn't have the right to speak, so he didn't dare to say anything. He could only go along with her. When the time comes, the demonic beasts you hunt will belong to you. What she meant was that the demonic beasts she hunted also belonged to her. The two of them would each kill their own, and wouldn't get anything from her. Under normal circumstances, when teaming up, things would indeed be divided up at the end. Wu Mingxin's expression was awkward, and he could only nod. He didn't have any objections to Liang Wen'er's arrangement. Who told him to be so weak? At this point, the disciples had finished teaming up. Tang Gua and Zhou Ru were in a team, so Tang Xiang was naturally in a team with Zhou Ru. Ji Qi was very strong, but Tang Xiang's strength was only average. Furthermore, her cultivation progress had been rather slow these past few years. Her cultivation progress was slow, not because of some inner demon, but because her talent was not good. In the beginning, she cultivated so quickly, but because she had lived an extra life, she had some experience. When she died in her previous life, she hadn't even surpassed the nascent soul stage. In that life, the resources she obtained were not as much as in this life. It took a Herculean effort to reach the golden core stage. In this life, if she did not obtain so many resources and some experience, she would not have been able to cultivate so quickly. Afraid that Yu Heng would notice something, she could only use Tang Gua as an excuse. She claimed that it was because of her inner demon that her cultivation was slow. In fact, it was because her talent was not good. Her original speed was already like this. No matter how hard she worked, if her talent was not enough and there was no other way, how could she be faster? However, by using Tang Gua as an excuse, she killed two birds with one stone and solved two big problems for herself. She knew that Yu Heng had the Chaos Flame Flower, so she had been waiting for an opportunity. Once she obtained the Primordial Flame Flower, her lack of talent would no longer be a problem. However, no matter how much Yu Heng doted on her, he would not give the Chaos Flame Flower to her for no reason. She had to find an opportunity to make Yu Heng give the Chaos Flame Flower to her willingly, and without any objections from the rest of the sect. Chapter 3541. She thought that she could afford to wait. However, Tang Gua's luck had improved recently, which made her a little nervous. All disciples, listen up. You will split into two groups. One group will wait for orders while the other group will follow me and Elder Feng to fight against the demonic beasts. Yu Heng ordered. Feng Guilin divided the disciples into two groups. Coincidentally, Tang Gua, Tang Xiang, and Liang Wan'er were all in the same group. However, their group had to wait for orders and would not hunt demonic beasts. Seeing Feng Guilin and Yu Heng lead the disciples out, they waited on the city wall. Standing on the high city walls, they could see the scene of the battle between the demonic beasts and the cultivators. In the distance, thick smoke billowed, accompanied by the sounds of fighting, and the thick smell of blood assaulted their nostrils. Xiang, when we go to kill the demonic beasts, you must stay by my side. Don't run around. That place is very dangerous. Jiqi reminded. He did not have any feelings of love for Tang Xiang. He only saw her as his junior sister. However, the people in the sect felt that the two of them were very compatible. Tang Xiang did not mind if Jiqi had any feelings of love for her. She was not interested in men. Having died once, she felt that living resources and strength were more important than anything else. As long as Jiqi was on her side, nothing else mattered. I know. Don't worry, senior brother. I am at least in the golden core stage. That's good. You can take this opportunity to have more combat experience. Speaking of which, this is your first time participating in the fight against the demonic beasts, right? Yes. It was indeed her first time in this life. In her previous life, she had participated countless times. However, in her previous life, she was a small cultivator. She did not stand out at all. Every day, she fought for resources with her head tied to her belt. She did not meet anyone who would protect her. Now it was different. There were many people protecting her. She subconsciously looked at Tang Gua. She saw Zhou Ru take out 2 red fruits and pass them to Tang Gua with a silly smile. Tang Xiang lowered her head. She felt that Zhou Ru's luck seemed to have changed. Even an insignificant Zhou Ru made Tang Xiang feel uneasy. Xiang, don't worry about her. Jiqi also noticed Tang Gua. When you encounter danger later, protect yourself first. Don't do anything that will make senior brother angry. I know, senior brother. I won't do it again. Tang Xiang acted as if she was heartbroken, which made Jiqi feel a lot more at ease. However, Jiqi's gaze was still on Tang Gua. He realized that the way Tang Gua looked at Zhou Ru was very gentle. Even though she wasn't smiling, it wasn't as cold as the way she looked at other people. This discovery made Jiqi a little unhappy. He was not particularly close to his master, younger sister, or senior brother. Instead, he became close to an outsider. Those people were talking about how she had used some tricks to make Zhou Ru, that fool, willingly follow her. They didn't know if she had used some despicable method. Tang Gua felt the unfriendly gaze, but she didn't care. She took the fruit from Zhou Ru, looked into the distance, and fell into deep thought. Junior sister Tang, what are you thinking about? What do I want to do to condense a golden core? Condensing a golden core requires a foundation. My foundation has already been destroyed. Even though I've cultivated to the peak of the foundation establishment stage for several years, I still can't take the final step. Zhou Ru scratched his head. It's said that if one's foundation is destroyed, the possibility of condensing a golden core is 0. However, I don't understand why cultivators must condense a golden core to continue improving their strength. Junior sister Tang, don't be sad. When the boat reaches the bridge head, it will cross the bridge. Who knows, maybe one day a miracle will happen, and you can condense a golden core. Look at how stupid I am. Didn't I cultivate to the golden core stage? Why must she condense a golden core? Tang Gua suddenly laughed. She had always wanted to complete the cultivation technique that the original owner didn't. She had always cultivated according to the original train of thought. However, she forgot that if the original owner's method hit a wall, she would definitely think of another way. For example, not condensing a golden core, but finding another way? Lung Xing had previously reminded her to use the snow lotus pill to cultivate her meridians. Meridians and Dantian weren't much worse. In fact, they were more complicated. If she cultivated using her meridians on top of her original cultivation technique, wouldn't she not be affected by the foundation? Senior brother Zhou, I want to cultivate for a while. Help me keep an eye on them. When they return, call me. Okay. Chapter 3542. After understanding how to take this path, Tangwa began to cultivate according to this train of thought. She no longer worried about whether she could form her core. She controlled all the spirit power stored in her dantian and channeled it into the veins in her body. She did not circulate it in circles like before and return it to her dantian. Instead, she used her entire body as a container. Since her foundation had been destroyed, she could not condense her golden core. However, this body of hers was also unique. Most cultivators believed that a cultivator's foundation lay in their spirit roots. Little did they know that cultivators with outstanding innate spirit roots had physical bodies that were as strong as ordinary cultivators. Sure enough, according to the previous cultivation method, Tangwa felt that her strength was increasing exponentially. Unknowingly, the surrounding spirit power was drawn into her body and formed a small vortex. Such a big movement naturally attracted the attention of the other disciples of the Taichu sect, especially Tang Xiang, who was staring at her without blinking. She pretended to be worried, but in reality, her fists were tightly clenched. Her heart was pounding, and her heart was in turmoil. Since her rebirth, she had changed many things with her prophetic abilities. At least her fate had been changed. She was no longer that little cultivator who struggled at the bottom and had to risk her life to snatch resources. She had also suppressed Tangwa's luck until there was not much left. However, the changes in the past few months made Tang Xiang extremely panicked. Could this be the terror of great luck? No matter what method she used or how much effort she put in, she could not suppress the other party. Even if the other party's foundation was destroyed, it would not have much of an impact on her cultivation. The surrounding spirit power had already formed a vortex, and there were dark clouds above her head. This was a phenomenon that would only occur when one formed their core. If Tangwa succeeded in forming her core at this time, a heavenly tribulation would descend from the dark clouds. Although there was only one heavenly tribulation, if one's foundation was not stable, they would definitely not be able to withstand this heavenly tribulation. Their golden core would be instantly shattered. At that time, their vitality would be greatly damaged. If they wanted to condense their golden core again, they would have to recuperate for at least 3 years. Xiang, are you worried? Jiqi noticed Tangwa's tense body and looked towards her. Let's not talk about other things. Her foundation is very good. She's been stuck at the perfected foundation establishment realm for a long time. After she forms her gold core, she'll have no problem dealing with the thunder tribulation. It had to be said that at this moment, Jiqi's heart was filled with admiration. Her spiritual root was destroyed, yet she was still able to condense a golden core. There were many legends in the world of cultivation, and there were many people like Tangwa. However, the number of people who condensed their golden core again could be counted on one hand. Most of them had their own fortuitous encounters and restored their foundation. However, Tangwa did not seem to have encountered any miracles, so her foundation was not restored. If he had done so earlier, he wouldn't have waited until now to achieve a breakthrough. Jiqi recalled her character and hurriedly removed the bit of admiration in his heart. After she condensed her golden core, she would most likely return to her previous arrogant and condescending personality. The other members of the Absolute Beginning sect were also looking at Tangwa's position in horror. That terrifying vortex of spiritual energy, it reminded them of that astonishingly talented young girl from back then. Even though she was a cold person, no one could deny that she was really outstanding. They could only look up to her back and never thought of catching up to her. Chapter 35-43. Fear, panic, and other complicated feelings filled the hearts of the Taichu sect disciples. Liang Wan'er was also staring at the scene. She was unwilling to accept this and also a little afraid. After all, she had just offended Tangwa. If she wasn't afraid that her words would be overheard by the elders and have a negative impact, she might have gone a little overboard. Now, should she be glad that she didn't impulsively point at Tangwa and call her a piece of trash? Remembering that she wasn't a soft-hearted person, Liang Wan'er silently prayed in her heart that Tangwa failed to form her gold core. It would be best if the lightning tribulation in the dark clouds directly fell and shattered her dantian. Then, she wouldn't be able to cultivate. Of course, there were also a few disciples who had looks of admiration in their eyes. A person whose foundation had been destroyed had formed a gold core again. This was undoubtedly a great encouragement to them. Her spirit root had been destroyed, but she was still able to form a gold core. One could imagine how hard she worked. Could it be that they couldn't even beat her? They couldn't beat her now, because they didn't work hard enough. Looks like that talented junior martial sister Tang is coming back again. Someone in the crowd was discussing. Seeing that many people were unhappy, that person smiled and said, "However, I see that you all don't look very happy. You must be thinking about how you were beaten up by her." The person who spoke was a core disciple of the sect. He was already in the nascent soul stage. He wasn't familiar with Tang Guo at all. They had only competed before. Back then, when Tang Guo surpassed him, he was indeed very vexed. However, he wasn't like the others who had been cultivating bitterly all these years. It was just that he hadn't been able to surpass the other party. That genius was no longer a genius, which made him feel a little regretful. Now that he saw that Tang Guo was about to form a gold core again, he stood out spontaneously and blocked Tang Guo's side, acting as her guardian. "Thank you, Senior Martial Brother Li." Zhou Ru recognized Li Yuni. This person was a popular figure in the sect, and would often be pulled out for discussion. The main thing was that Li Yuni was a cultivation maniac. In his eyes, other than cultivation, he didn't seem to have any other interests or hobbies. He was also one of the few nascent soul disciples who came this time. He liked to fight, which was why he took the initiative to apply. The nascent soul stage disciples had a similar mission as the elders, which was to take care of the golden core stage and foundation establishment stage disciples. However, Li Yuni was different from the other nascent soul disciples. He had applied to the sect, and was not allowed to take care of the disciples. Instead, he went in to fight by himself. There was nothing the sect elders could do about this maniac. Letting Li Yuni protect the weak disciples was like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. It was better to let him go in and take care of those crazy demonic beasts. "There's no need to thank me. I'm not doing this out of kindness, nor am I being enthusiastic. I just see that my former opponent has the hope of standing up again. I don't want anyone to come and destroy my opponent's growth at this time." Li Yuni stared at Tang Guo with excitement. "To be honest, when I was meditating, I was thinking about how to defeat her. I've always regretted that I didn't have this opportunity, but now it seems that the heavens still favor me." "Good, very good. Junior sister Tang, I'll wait for you to grow up, and then we'll compete again." When Zhou Ru saw that Li Yuni was about to fight, he quickly moved his body and shielded Tang Guo behind him. Li Yuni didn't seem to notice, as he focused on guarding the surroundings. His expression was very excited. The Taichu sect disciples had strange expressions on their faces. They really didn't dare to have any thoughts. Besides, with Zhou Ru around, who knew how many image stones he had in his bag, would they dare to play any tricks? Chapter 35-44. About 2 hours later, Tang Guo was completely surrounded by a vortex of spirit power. The dark clouds above her were constantly watching her, as if they were afraid that she would escape. Li Yuni and Zhou Ru also distanced themselves slightly. At least, they could not stand in the area covered by the dark clouds, to prevent the power of the lightning tribulation from increasing. The other disciples were already shocked by Li Yuni's attitude, and hurriedly ran away to watch. Looking at the swirling vortex of spirit power that seemed to be condensing into a solid form, the Archean sect disciples had complicated expressions. Perhaps Tang Xiang was used to wearing a worried expression, so no one could tell that she was afraid. She was silently praying that Tang Guo would fail to condense her golden core. Looking at the vortex, the panic and jealousy in Tang Xiang's heart almost made her body explode. She was already crippled, but she was still able to condense her golden core. With such a huge formation, the golden core she formed would definitely be the best. Tang Xiang, who wanted to boil a frog in warm water, actually regretted not using some methods to kill her back, then instead of turning her into a useless person. Xiang, it's up to fate to form her golden core. Whether she succeeds or not, it's her fate. Ji-Chi comforted her. He was telling the truth. If Tanggwa succeeded, he would not say anything. If she failed, he would not say anything either. Okay. Tang Xiang saw that Ji-Chi was not worried at all about Tanggwa forming her golden core, and she became even more panicked. She could already feel that Ji-Chi did not dislike Tanggwa as much as before. That would not do. It seemed that she had to give Ji-Chi some heavy medicine to make him understand. Tanggwa's existence would threaten her, just like what Yu Heng thought. If she had not been smart back then, Yu Heng would have given the primordial flame flower to a genius like Tanggwa for the sake of the sect's future, no matter how much he disliked her. Tang Xiang clenched her fists. She already had an idea. While everyone was waiting for Tanggwa to form her golden core, the dark clouds in the sky suddenly dispersed, and the frantically spinning spirit power slowly stopped. The spirit power had indeed been absorbed by Tanggwa. However, Tanggwa did not form her golden core, so the tribulation clouds in the sky naturally disappeared. If she did not form her golden core, it would not strike a small cultivator for no reason, right? It had waited for so long, but the other party did not form her golden core. It was still a little unhappy that it had to prepare the lightning tribulation for so long. Even though he was unhappy, if he didn't form his golden core, the lightning tribulation couldn't go down. The absolute beginning sect disciples were also stunned. After all, they were very familiar with the scene of core formation. Tanggwa's appearance clearly indicated that she hadn't reached core formation yet. Golden cores, golden cores, golden cores, golden core did not form her golden core. But when all the spiritual power disappeared, she opened her eyes and returned to being that unremarkable little cultivator from before. They checked and found that she was still at the peak of the foundation establishment realm. She hadn't improved at all. Seeing this, Li Yuni was very happy. He hurriedly ran to Tanggwa and shouted, "Junior sister Tang, where's your Jindan? Aren't you condensing your golden core?" "Senior brother Li, keep your voice down," Zhou Ru reminded him. "Don't scare junior sister Tang." He looked at Tanggwa and comforted her. Junior sister Tang's spirit root was destroyed. It is very difficult for her to form her golden core. She probably is not confident this time. Wait for the next time. It's good to prepare more. Li Yuni was a little disappointed. "I see. Alright then. Next time you form your golden core, remember to let me know. I can help you guard. You can come to me whenever you need to form your golden core." Tanggwa's change gave Li Yuni hope to defeat his opponent. Li Yuni's expectant look made Tanggwa shake her head. Li Yuni might be disappointed. She would never be able to form her golden core in this lifetime. However, with her current strength, she did not fear any golden core cultivators. Chapter 35-45. Perhaps it was because her cultivation method was different from the general cultivation method. She did not form her Jindan, and did not have a specific level. However, she could clearly estimate her own strength, based on her and the original owner's experience, in addition to the spiritual power that she had accumulated when her cultivation was stagnant. Under normal circumstances, it was enough for her to break through 1 or 2 levels. Therefore, it was not boasting that she was confident in dealing with any cultivator in the Jindan stage. "Junior apprentice sister Tang, don't be sad." Zhou Ru comforted. Tanggwa shook her head. "I'm not sad. My cultivation has improved a lot. It's good now." Zhou Ru did not know how to comfort people. The only thing he could do was to take out some fruits for her to eat. Li Yuni returned to his position and stared into the distance, waiting for Feng Gulin and Yu Heng to bring the disciples back. Then he could go in and do a big job. When Tang Xiang knew that Tanggwa did not form her Jindan, she was relieved. However, Ji-Chi did not understand. With her momentum, forming her Jindan would not be a problem. Why did she not form her Jindan? Could it be that she did not have the confidence and gave up at the last moment? Tang Xiang noticed the emotions in Ji-Chi's eyes and decided to bring up her plan as soon as possible. Liang Wana laughed. She could not help but whisper, "This is all bark and no bite. I thought she could really form her Jindan. Actually, it's right. Her spiritual root has been destroyed. No matter how strong she is, she cannot be compared to a normal cultivator. How can forming her Jindan be so easy?" Wu Mingxin, who was standing beside Liang Wan'er, quickly lowered his head, afraid that Liang Wan'er would say such things. They were all low-level cultivators. He understood the feeling of being mocked. Even if he did not take the initiative to help Tanggua, it was mainly because he did not have the ability to help. He would not mock the other party. On the path of cultivation, one should cultivate one's own strength. Why should one care about other people's matters? Good or bad, it did not have much to do with him. The sympathy that rose in his heart was also because he understood the feeling of being bullied and mocked. He could empathize. Liang Wan'er saw that Wu Mingxin lowered his head and did not respond. The others also did not respond. She recalled Li Yuni's attitude just now, and her expression became awkward. She glared at Wu Mingxin and cursed him for being a coward in her heart. Then, she sat cross-legged at the side and cultivated. Wu Mingxin felt her gaze move away, but his heart relaxed. Forming a team with the Jindan stage was good, but for someone like Liang Wan'er, it was better to form a team with the Zhuji stage. System, dear host, that tribulation cloud hasn't left yet. It's still hiding in the sky. Do you feel it? It seems to be observing you. I feel it. It should have sensed that my strength is already comparable to the golden core stage. It is doubtful. It is probably waiting for me to form my gold core. System. Oh, then I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint it. According to the host's current cultivation method, I've calculated that it's impossible for you to form your gold core in this lifetime. Furthermore, there's a possibility that you'll always appear as a foundation establishment stage cultivator on the surface. At this moment, the system really wanted to tell the tribulation cloud to stop waiting. You won't be able to wait until the host forms his core. The tribulation cloud had a lot of questions and didn't plan to leave for the time being. It had been hiding in the clouds high up in the sky. It believed that with Tanggua's strength, she could form her gold core at any time. At that time, it would take advantage of the fact that the other party wasn't paying attention to strike him with a lightning tribulation. Then it would be able to complete its mission and leave. A few days later, Yu Heng and Feng Gulin brought back the disciples who were covered in blood. Chapter 35-46. There were 2 strong cultivators, and a group of nascent soul disciples watching over them. Apart from some serious injuries, there was no danger to their lives. It was said that life and death were up to fate. But how could the sect allow them to die if they were able to protect them? That would be a loss to the sect. Otherwise, why would they arrange for strong cultivators to watch over them? You guys stay here and recuperate. The second group of disciples will follow me to fend off the demonic beasts. Yu Heng's gaze swept across the faces of the disciples. His gaze was indifferent and finally stopped on Tang Xiang for a moment. Thinking of Tang Xiang's situation, he was a little worried. He had to watch over her later, to prevent anything from happening to her. Tanggua followed the main group, and ran out of Long Cave City. She did not know when Feng Gulin had walked to her side and asked, I heard that you almost condensed your golden core? Yes, Elder Feng. Why did you stop at the last moment? Tanggua said honestly, I felt that I couldn't condense my golden core, so I stopped in time. Seeing that she was so honest, Feng Gulin increasingly believed that she was not as arrogant and rude as the rumors said. She was not someone who ignored her family. Actually, you're already very outstanding. Many people who had their spirit roots destroyed directly gave up. You've already done very well to be able to cultivate to the peak of foundation establishment, and still try to condense your golden core. There are many uncertainties in the cultivation world. Perhaps one day, you'll encounter your own opportunity. Don't give up until the very end. Elder Feng is right. I've never thought of giving up. Very good. The more he felt that Tanggua was good, the more Feng Gulin felt sorry for her. He saw that his disciple had a good temperament. If it wasn't for that incident, she would probably be a role model for the younger generation in the cultivation world. Even Li Yuni paid attention to her and listed her as an opponent. Was she really that bad? Li Yuni was the one who told him about Tanggua's incident. Later, do what you can. When you're hunting demonic beasts and training your combat skills, you have to do one more thing, and that is to protect yourself. I will. Thank you, Elder Feng. Fongolin smiled. It's my duty to protect the sect's disciples. Soon, Tanggua and Zhou went with the demon beasts. At first, in order to take care of Tanggua, Zhou chose to deal with those Foundation Establishment stage demonic beasts. Later on, they saw that Tanggua had easily dealt with the Foundation Establishment stage demonic beasts, and with Tanggua's suggestion, they rushed towards the Golden Core stage demonic beasts. Seeing this, Yu Heng could not help but frown. As expected, he's too impatient and eager to show off. That may not be the case. Although her cultivation is not at the Golden Core stage, her actual combat ability is not weak at all. Peak Master Yu, you are indeed biased against this disciple. Peak Master Yu, look, the way she hunts the demonic beasts is clean and efficient. Many of them are killed in one strike. Another thing worth praising was that she and Zhou cooperated very well. Both of them trusted each other with their backs. This kind of absolute trust is rare in the sect. Fongolin was very satisfied with Tanggua's performance. He couldn't bear to see Yu Heng belittling his own disciple. He could not help but say something to slap Yu Heng's face. As expected, Yu Heng looked over and saw Tanggua and Zhou's actual combat situation. He did not say anything and turned to look at Tang Xiang. Tang Xiang's actual combat experience was also very rich. This made Yu Heng very satisfied. Seeing this, Fongolin's mouth twitched. He really could not see how Tang Xiang could be compared to Tanggua. Was Yu Heng's eyes covered with cow dung? Senior brother Zhou, we should be able to go further in. Tanggua wanted to get more demonic beasts. Anyway, with her current strength, as long as there were no nascent soul stage demonic beasts, there would be no problem. Even if there were nascent soul stage demonic beasts, she would not be afraid. Escaping for her life would not be a problem. Zhou trusted Tanggua a lot and agreed. Yu Heng could not help but scold. You overestimate yourself. Wealth comes from danger. Since she dares to go, it means that she is confident. From the situation just now, she does have the ability to deal with stronger demonic beasts. Fongolin just had to disagree with Yu Heng. Seeing Yu Heng's unhappy face, he felt good. System, dear host, Tang Xiang is moving towards your direction. It seems like she wants to cause trouble. Chapter 3547. Got it. Help me keep an eye on her. If there are any strange movements, remind me at any time. Liang Wan'er saw that Tanggua was so aggressive and was somewhat unconvinced. In addition, her strength was indeed not bad, especially in actual combat, so she slowly moved inside. Liang Wan'er's strength was not bad. After all, this was a cultivation world. As long as one cultivated to the aura's core stage, they would not be too bad. Although she was not as relaxed as Tanggua in dealing with the demonic beasts in the current range, it would not be too strenuous. Wu Mingxin was not the same. He saw Liang Wan'er keep rushing forward, and he was only in the Foundation Establishment stage. If he went in again, it would be very risky. Knowing that Liang Wan'er would not help him, Wu Mingxin instantly decided not to go in. Although the reward was very important, and the teammates were also very important, Liang Wan'er did not care about him, a Foundation Establishment stage teammate, and insisted on rushing in. He should obediently stay in the range of demonic beasts that he could deal with. With Liang Wan'er's temperament, if something happened to him, she would most likely not see him in danger. Liang Wan'er knew that Wu Mingxin did not keep up. She hoped that Wu Mingxin did not keep up. A mere Foundation Establishment stage, teaming up with her was already a great favor. If he followed her, he would be a hindrance. Now that the other party had this self-awareness, she was eager. Senior apprentice Sister Liang, if I go any further, I might not be able to deal with demonic beasts. So, I should stay in the range of Foundation Establishment stage demonic beasts. In this range of Foundation Establishment stage, and Aura's core stage, Wu Mingxin was struggling to deal with them. He called out to Liang Wan'er and hurriedly retreated. The reason why he called out to her was because he did not want to leave any evidence that could be used against him. When the time came, they would say that he did not cooperate with his teammates. If he made it clear, when the time came, if anything happened to Liang Wan'er, she would not be able to push the blame to him. The main thing was that Liang Wanner's behavior made him feel especially uncertain. This Wu Mingxin is quite smart. The reason why she noticed Wu Mingxin was that the matter of him teaming up with Liang Wanner left a deep impression on Tang Gua. Host, Tang Xiang is getting closer to you. However, she is maintaining a certain distance and does not seem to have any intention of coming closer. The system reminded her. Tang Gua separated a trace of her divine sense and swept it towards the location indicated by the system. Sure enough, Tang Xiang was separated from her by a certain distance. For the time being, she didn't understand what the other party wanted to do, but it seemed like they wanted to do something. Tang Xiang couldn't sit still anymore because of the things that happened to her. She would definitely do something. However, a day had passed and Tang Xiang didn't do anything out of the ordinary. Instead, under Ji Qi's protection, she fought with demon beasts. Tang Xiang's combat experience was also very rich. Seeing this, Yu Heng nodded repeatedly. As for Tang Gua's side, Feng Gulin would occasionally pay attention to her. He realized that she had no problem dealing with demonic beasts in the late stage of the Golden Core Realm and the perfected Golden Core Realm. He was relieved and paid more attention to the disciples who were having a hard time dealing with the demonic beasts. Yu Heng would occasionally check on Tang Gua's situation. In fact, he had no choice but to do so because Tang Xiang and Tang Gua's positions were connected in a straight line. If he wanted to see Tang Xiang, he would definitely see Tang Gua. What Tang Gua didn't understand was that Tang Xiang went deeper than her. She went deeper into the mountains. Of course, she didn't go beyond the range agreed upon by the elders. Therefore, Yu Heng didn't stop her. She didn't see Li Yuni at all. Tang Gua thought that he was a fighting maniac, and most likely went to other places to hunt powerful demon beasts by himself. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.